give me fuel, give me fire, give me that on Chinese desire.
Welcome, race fans, to a 1.5 mile track with a lot of attitude. We are at Atlanta Motor Speedway for tonight's Elite Racing Network coverage. You are going to be joining us here for the National Horseshoe Pictures 400 here live at Atlanta Motor Speedway here. Taking a look, we are going to have some great racing, fabulous conditions on hand, and we are just moments away from dropping the green flag. I am joined by a new voice here tonight. Sam Dyer is taking over for Rich, who is out with a little bit of a voice, having some voice problems there. And we wish you the best of luck there, Rashad. But Sam, I'm so glad you could join us here tonight. It should be a really special night here, here at Atlanta.
Yeah, hot Atlanta. It's going to be extremely warm, and I'm happy to be up in the booth to help cover. Hope for Rich to feel better soon so you can get back to covering weekly. But yeah, I'm excited for tonight. This is going to be fun, Alex, seeing these drivers. Atlanta, hot, slick, and with the next-gen cars, who knows what we're going to be seeing here tonight.
We have a lot to break down, but before we even get to start the green flag, we are going to have the national anthem performed by yours truly, Dustin Dewar. Dustin is in the booth, and Dustin, I'll let you take it away.
Oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the peril of fight, o'er the ramparts we watched, were so gallantly streaming, and the rocket's red glare, the bombs bursting in air, gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say, does that star-spangled banner yet wave o'er the land of the free and the home of the brave?
Awesome job of taking a look at the virtual flyover here at Atlanta Motor Speedway. Thank you again there, Dustin Dewar. We wish you the best of luck for tonight's race, 400 miles. Hopefully we can be talking to you at the end of this here tonight, man.
Yeah, let's do it and watch my NHPA car to drive out to the field tonight.
Looking forward to it. Dustin Dewar, singer of tonight's national anthem. We are now going to get these cars gridded. You're taking a look at your front row. Gerald Campbell going to be the pole setter here for tonight. Last reigning champion. Also with Jared Rexing, who is in desperate need of a very good finish. Was involved in a crash there last week at Bristol. Unfortunately, didn't get the finish he wants, and he is pretty deep down in the points. That is something that we will be talking about here a lot tonight here, Sam. Let's talk about some of the track conditions, what we expect here in Atlanta, because the tire window and the fuel window are not necessarily the same.
No, they're really not. Drivers are going to be having to be concerned about their tires a lot here tonight. 260 laps are going to be running. This is the third longest race of the whole entire year for these drivers, and the track temp is going to be 123 degrees. It means it's going to be hot, slick, and they're going to be sliding all over the place, but plenty of tires to work with. But fuel-wise, drivers, they're going to be coming in anywhere from 40 to 50 laps into a run. So we're going to be seeing drivers having to pick and choose when they want to come in. But with how hot it is, Alex, we could be seeing drivers having a lot of issues out of the exit of these corners.
Yeah, Atlanta, we often talk about how just slick the surface is. So slick that they're actually going to be repaving this. They are in the midst of repaving this track right now into what many expect to be a very exciting Atlanta Motor Speedway for the next season here. We'll talk about that later on in this race, but as you mentioned there, I do believe we see these guys have a handful out of the corners as we are now. I mean, look at that, Jared Rexing already sliding the tires, getting a gear. Oh, it's going to be a long 400 miles here tonight.
Oh, absolutely, as all the drivers getting ready to go, and seeing that we are going to be having about 36 drivers that have hit the grid, getting ready to get started. So, Alex, everyone's rolling, getting ready to go. Up front, it's all going to be about getting that clean air. If you are the front driver, you're going to be having a lot of success holding off the drivers behind you, but also in these early portions of this race, don't want to overcook these tires. So be patient. You don't need to be racing ahead of everyone else. Think about the long run. With how long this race is, you want to make sure that you're set up for that longer run of multiple green flag pit stops.
Yeah, in order to finish first, you must first finish. Lights are about to be off on the pace car here, so we are going to be going green this time by, we will have, again, 260 laps here at Atlanta. We will also be having stages here, but no stage break, so our stages will be on lap 80 and lap 160. So glad you could join us here for, as Sam mentioned, third longest race of the season. These boys are about to tackle Atlanta Motor Speedway. Who will be standing in victory lane? We're 400 miles away from finding out. Gerald Campbell has the field behind him as he gets on the gas, and we are underway here, the NHPA 400.
And they are going to be battling side by side, going to be watching out for that of the 15, Chad Frankenfield, the driver that has been so dominant at Atlanta. It seems like this is his track every single time we come here, but Alex, we're already seeing it. Drivers trying to force it 3 wide in turn 3.
Yeah, already there. 5th place. You see Trevor Elam there. That's Nick Massey in the middle. Johnny Thomas up front and Josh Robin in that 8 car. They sort themselves out now, making it 2 wide out of turn 4. Looks like everybody's minding their P's and Q's, but you're right. These restarts are also go time there. We have a lot of them. Expect for these guys to try and give it their all when the tires are at their best in the run.
And we're already seeing Jared Rexing, that outside lane. He's trying to warm up the tires. We're going to see the outside lane really get preferred the longer the run goes on. But early going, it's the battle for the lead, really, we're starting to see. Frankenfield is coming with a head of steam here, Alex.
Yeah, he took a look to the outside right there out of turn number 4, and Gerald Campbell there has a mirror of that bright pink 15. Chad Frankenfield doing a great job there. Still in search for his first win. Both he and the 31 car have yet to leave the victory lane. Look at them back of the pack there, 3 wide, 1 car way up high there. Everyone to the bottom looks like no harm, no foul, but there's the side-by-side battles throughout this entire pack. That's Johnny Thomas in the 90th, Scott Crump arguing some real estate there just outside of the top 5.
These guys still side-by-side battling, trying to pick as much as they can grab now. Like we said, they're going to be, this is the closest they're going to be on these restarts. The longer the run goes on, we're going to be seeing these cars get spread away. So gain all that you can early on, but you got to be careful of not overcooking these tires because you can be quick, move forward for the lead like we're seeing now. But if you're running too fast for the first 10 laps, you could be seeing yourself have a terrible final rest of the stint.
Right now, Chad Frankenfield there, he wants the lead in the worst way, but Gerald Campbell's going to get a push from the 10 of Jared Rexing And Gerald Kimmel still has led every lap so far. Chad Frankenfield was unable to complete the pass, and now he'll actually be in danger of losing second place as Jared Rexing continuing to use that outside line. The preferred groove you had mentioned there earlier there, Sam, is beginning to show up just a little bit early in this run. Ooh, a big blip we saw right behind these guys. I don't know who that was. I think that's Nick Massey, or I'm sorry, it's Scott Crump.
Yeah, Crump trying to make sure that he's not blipping too much here, but certainly, yeah, that outside lane, it is getting more and more preferred, and we're also seeing what the next gen gives us. The draft package, it is super prevalent when we're racing here at mile-and-a-half courses. The draft package is practically like super speedway racing, where if you're in line, you're making that lane move together, as now Chad Frankenfield, who's been stuck on the inside, he's being passed like he's going nowhere.
Still, he did lose that position, and actually that was Nick Massey in that 48 car with a big blimp. We'll keep an eye on that. Normally iRacing officials can warn if that gets too dangerous right there, and he is kind of in the thick of things right now inside the top 10. That could be very dangerous for other competitors. If Johnny Thomas looks at a car that's in front of him, suddenly magically appear, that is herring at over 180 miles an hour with your season on the line.
Oh, absolutely. You just don't know where the driver's going to be. There's moments where you can see a car blink and you think that he's just going to stay right where he's at. And if with how loose you can get out of these corners, you can see these drivers getting a little nervous coming out of the exits of turns 2 and 4. If you lose the car during that spot, you don't know if you're going to be inside of the car or if they're still running where they were before.
Right now, the front 5 make it 6, now 7-car single file battle for position there between teammates. Pro Edge Racing, you're seeing last week's winner David Tooker on the outside of Matthew Leach right there. That is a battle for the 8th spot. Right now, Tooker has it.
Yeah, and Tooker right now trying to figure out where Johnny Thomas is going to go. We've already been noting on the 48 of Nick Massey's blinking issues. He's kind of tempered down. They're not blinking as hard, but you're trying to figure out where the lane is going to be. A lot of drivers going to be finding places to go, but that's going to be seeing that of Joshua Personette going low and losing ground.
Wow, he did a great job to keep that car off the racing surface there and gather it up, but he did lose a number of spots right there in that 78 machine. Perhaps we're already seeing tire wear show early. This is only lap 10. I didn't get a chance to see exactly what the fuel and tire wear, the fuel window was at least. I believe it's around 65 laps.
Yeah, drivers are going to be looking around, 60 to 65 is going to be the window they're looking for. Some drivers might even opt to around lap 50 if they're planning on doing an undercut pit stop. But most of all, drivers are going to be trying to push it as far as they can go. And you never know, some drivers, they can sometimes find a little bit of a sneaky speed. Because it's 400 miles, you could try to do an undercut type of a pit stop as you see Chad Frankenfield continuously losing ground and trying to force the inside lane to work, but not able to make any moves. And oh boy, 15's loose.
What a big moment for the 15 car, who's going to lose his lead inside the top 5 right there, but thankfully he didn't lose the entire race car.
Yeah, that is
big.
That could have been a big one early on, especially with being inside of the top 5 and everyone being so packed with one another. That could have been a massive wreck. And Alex, this is going to be something we touch on throughout most of the day with how this air package works. Drivers are usually going to be on top of one another as the pass for the lead could be underway. Rexing side by side with Campbell.
Right now, Rexing with the biggest momentum we've seen and challenge for the lead. He actually has it by an inch. Oh, he gets loose right in front of the field. He's going to go around. Does he save it? Oh my goodness. He does. Wow, the outside poster. No, they crashed in the tri-oval car in the wall. Brandon Key, and it's going to take out, oh my goodness, Jared Rexing.
And just like that, we talked about how jam-packed they are. One slip up front. Jared Rexing was in second, and he did his best to hold on, but because of how large our field is, there was not a lot of space to try to hold on after one mistake.
He had that save, but that sudden momentum loss out of turn 4. Take a look at this. He's going for the lead. And this wreck, I mean, it occurs. It starts all the way in turn 3 right there. He gets loose right there. Might have been a little bit of a netco. There was contact. He does a great job to gather it up, but everybody behind him, I don't know what iRacing officials are, but it was Brandon Key and Dallas Myhan that got together. They connected. Then guess who's in the path of that? Is Jared Rexing, because of how slow he was. And another competitor just drills the 41 car. I think that was the 86. That might have been Daniel Martinez with a massive hit.
And also the 38 made a lot of contact, and Colin Bowden's going to be our first DNF, and he is out of this race. And, you know, with how large a field, how big that wreck is, saw about 8 competitors all involved. And Alex, there is no fast repairs in the Cup Series. That means these drivers have to come in, get repairs done, but everyone's coming into pit road.
But yeah, I definitely believe right now you're going to see everybody take 4 tires. You've definitely run long enough for, so I don't know exactly what the tire allotment is, but we've definitely run enough where you would be hurting if you decided not to go and make those adjustments. I'd like to see what Jared Rexing, he, as much as we see one competitor in the grass off of pit road there, he has severely missed getting on pit entrance right there, but we'll get back to whoever that was. But Jared Campbell looks like he'll walk away with the lead right here, and Josh Robin following close behind him.
Yeah, and Alex, you were wondering what the tire allotment is. Drivers have 12 sets of tires in pit road for tonight's race, so plenty of tires. You know, with it only being green for the first 13 laps, you can come in, take a set, and you only got 11 in pit road to work with for the rest of this race. And yes, there's plenty of laps to be thrown around, but hey, when you have this amount of tire allotment, it gives you a lot of options on when you want to come to pit road.
So we are under caution for the first time tonight. We are going to short all of this action out once we get the field back in hand, but that gives us our chance to go to our first commercial break, so don't go anywhere. We will be right back for the restart.
My name is John Cunningham with C2 Freight Resources. We are a Hub Zone certified logistics company here in Houston, Alabama. We've been in business for over 20 years, working with the Department of Defense and the federal government, among many other customers. C2 is committed to truckload shipments along with less than truckload shipments across the United States, Canada, and Mexico. Our high level of service is what keeps our customers coming back year after year. Our industry-leading transportation management software, along with our tracking software, allow our customers to know where their shipments are at any time, any day. In closing, C2 Freight looks forward to earning your trust and business through actions day in and day out. We know if given the opportunity, you'll be pleased with our service and communication.
All right, welcome back. NHP A400, our first restart of the night. You're looking at Colin Fern. He decided not to pit. He is your leader in that 86 car. The rest of the field behind him. Josh Robin on the inside, and Gerald Campbell, who has led the most laps here so far early, battling hard for second place.
Yeah, right now for Gerald Campbell, he's now gets to deal with the dirty air, and everyone's now jam-packed even closer, Alex, than when we had that first caution. And with that, Colin Fern on older tires, you're going to be seeing the advantages. Robin is just gone like a rocket ship.
He fired out of the pocket right there and took it to the inside of the 86 car. We have a new leader under green, Josh Robin in that 8 car. Look at the Daytona 500 champion right behind him. That's Geraldine Thomas. And last week's winner, a lot of the star studs who's suddenly inside the top 5 as, wow, the 86 car is loose off the corner there. Those old tires starting to show themselves actually immediately during this restart.
Yeah, and this is when things are going to get real tricky, because the 86 is now going to go to the third lane, trying to just get out of everyone else's way. But when you're driving 3 wide, everything gets a little bit more narrow, and the possibility of netcode grows even more, and also potential shot of a wreck as Fern is struggling to go backwards. But up front, hey, they're still battling strong with Robin in the lead.
Yeah, Tate Lytle had to get around him, and that is our current points leader currently. See Scott Crook take to the inside of Chad Frankenfield. Gerald Campbell now actually beginning to fall back just a little bit. I will say during that initial green flag run, it was impressive how the draft worked. We really didn't see Gerald Campbell. He was able to keep the lead, but he didn't really get away, and that's what we're seeing right now.
Yeah, I mean, the biggest shock, I mean, this is one of the first 1.5-mile courses of the season for these drivers. 1.5-mile courses, kind of known as the cookie cutter tracks, where you see a lot of them throughout the season, but this is the first time, and it's race 10 of the season, Alex, as these drivers getting a little bit of a taste and feel of what it's like to utilize the draft, and also side draft and dirty air. Big factors we're going to be talking about throughout the night, as up front, it's side by side, and Chad Frankenfield, he's starting to find his groove moving forward again.
Yeah, right now he's underneath the 31 car, as we continue to see what I would almost dare say a restrictor plate type feel for these guys. They are nose to tail. That's just something we just typically don't see at Atlanta, and I know that was something that with these next-gen cars, everybody's still learning with them as well. That's just another curveball to throw to these drivers here tonight. How does this next-gen car race here at Atlanta?
Yeah, it's a lot of draft package, but honestly, the next-gen car, the way that the aero package is built, it honestly does turn what was usually about, hey, how do you conserve your tires, be aggressive on early runs at 1.5-mile courses like Atlanta and Charlotte and other courses. With this next-gen vehicle, it has now turned them into a super speedway type of a feel, and that's why we're seeing not a lot of drivers being able to get away from one another. They're always going to be on top of each other, but the goal is to be the leader. If you're the leader, you get to pick and choose where your rear bumper goes, and if you put it right on put your rear bumper on the front bumper of another driver, that's causing dirty air, tightening up the driver behind, and they're not able to really get the launch that they need out of the corner. As you see, Gerald Campbell, who's been the fastest during practice, qualifying, and he's now trying his best to make the pass, and this might be his best shot on the front stretch.
He's on the inside there, entering turn number 1 of Johnny Thomas. You saw Josh Robin with a little bit of an issue a couple of laps ago. He's fallen back all the way to the 8th position currently. But Gerald Campbell trying to make that inside line work. That's exactly what we saw get in trouble for Jared Rexing. You see him also heavily defend the 15 car and try to get in front once he recognized that that pass perhaps was not going to work right there. And here comes Scott Crump in that 90 car.
Yeah, Scott Crump is coming with a head of steam. This 90 machine, he's coming, as well as Matthew Weeks and David Tooker. They're practically been bump drafting their way to be moving up into the top 5 and top 10 for all of that of the 90, the 11, and the 19. And Alex, we're seeing these drivers, they're now all starting to move up to the higher line, but it looks like it's more of stay in the higher lane, stay in the draft until you feel like you got a good run out of the exit of the corner, and that's when you throw it to the inside. But if you have no other drivers following you to the inside and maximizing the draft on the straightaways, you're not going to be able to make the pass cleanly, and that's why we haven't been able to see anyone make a pass on Johnny Thomas yet.
Wow. And this is fun racing to watch. I am enjoying what I'm seeing, but as a competitor, does that get a little bit annoying even right now this early in the race? So what's the mindset inside the race car there, Sam? Are you trying to just baby a car with everybody running into the part and try to be like, hey, let's settle down? Are you trying to get your all right now currently because this could be the best your car handles in the run?
Yeah, I mean, for drivers that feel like they've got the best short run, this is when things get kind of annoying and frustrating. You're not able to make the passes that you want up front, and you're starting to stall out because we've been running green on this stint here for quite a while. The driver's not able to really gain as much because they're all starting to migrate to the higher lanes. But this is when you're hoping your teammates are with you, have been running as well. And Alex, it's all going to be about teamwork. If you get up front, you gotta maximize drafting and staying in line to make the moves against the leader, or even try to make any passes. As Crump was tempted to go 3 wide, but further back in the field, as you can see, they're still scattering and trying to gain everything they can.
Well, Sam, I listened to that sentence and I could have sworn we were at Daytona or Talladega. We're at Atlanta. Like, that's just insane to be here talking about the draft and 2 and 3 wide this late in a run when tire wear is such an issue. These guys are giving it all they can right now, still side by side for second place.
Yeah, but this is what it's like early on in these runs. The first 20 laps on these tires when you're in this type of a stint. This is what the driver's going to be feeling like for most of this time. So expecting for these drivers to still stay and try to maximize these moves for the next 5 to 10 laps. Then after that, that's when we're really going to be seeing the change. Who saved their tires to try to make a late surge and who didn't? Who really has just been pushing and struggling, such as what we're seeing from that of Chad Frankenfield. Frankenfield right now is stalling out, and you can kind of see and sense by the way that Scott Crump is wiggling up and down, trying to find any space possible. He wants to get past the 15.
He hangs on. They are still 3 wide mid-pack, and they are going to bump their Chuck Sweeting into the wall and out into the crash. Matthew Weeks is in it, and most of the field has to get through this. A car turns over. It's the 24 car. Brandon Key goes for a spin in the 24, ends up on its roof. That's Michael Hassock with an incredibly wild ride on lap 31 here at Atlanta.
Yeah, and the 24, I mean, it's an odd timing for him to come in. It just looked like he just did not get on the brakes when he had plenty of time, saw there was a wreck coming along, but everyone else that's right there, no time. And you just saw drivers just coming in, and they had a little bit of time to react, but at the same time, you're in the draft, you pick a lane, and you're stuck there. More drivers meleeing in, and another big one, Alex, here, and it honestly is practically super speedway racing here at Atlanta.
Lap 31, not even halfway of what would be this first stage here, and already we see yet another crash because of an issue from one of our drivers inside that front top half of the field. That happened when the 15 got loose. Take a look at these guys in the back of the pack. I'm pretty sure they're on the brakes doing everything they can, but
yeah, I mean,
Hassock was an incredibly wild ride there.
Hassock was probably banking on the drivers to still let their cars roll, trying to find a hole to slide on through. Didn't find it, and now with coming into a wreck full throttle, the 24's day could be already done, as another driver going to be DNFing. Chuck Sweeting immediately after contact and being involved in that wreck. The 75 has parked it for the day.
Also, you see the 19 in front of the 24 car. That's last week's winner. Thankfully, he's already inside the championship grid, but heavy front end damage for that. And as you mentioned, no fast repairs on these cars. We're seeing a lot of competitors that's just enduring. The 32 car involved. Joshua Clark, the 12, just a lot of good names already on lap 31 there. We're seeing these wrecks. Is it because of drivers being too aggressive, or is that just the tire issue starting to play out?
I mean, it was a mixture of both, right? So we saw Chad Frankenfield trying to run the inside lane. He was not getting the momentum built up, and I was even noting on it, Scott Crump was racing aggressive. He was trying to gain every position he could and trying to figure out how to get by that of Frankenfield. Frankenfield slowed down way more than Crump was expecting. Contact was made, and away they went. And because it's practically super speedway racing, everyone's so collected with one another, more drivers involved than probably we would see in the other current gen cars, or even, in a couple of generations back, because of how close everyone is with the power of the draft. These wrecks, what could have been just a one-car melee, turns into 5, 8, and sometimes even more drivers involved.
And what sucks is that those guys that are in the back of the pack kind of minding their own business. They have been kind of the innocent victims of tonight, because both issues have been with drivers inside the top 10. So
yeah.
Go ahead. Sorry, there's didn't mean to cut you off.
Yeah, I mean, we haven't really touched on it that much here tonight, but we're only now counting today 2 races away from playoffs, and drivers that need to have great nights, potentially wins to get into the playoffs, they are now finding themselves trapped with some misfortunes. But like we saw that of David Tooker, who won last week, it's got to be feeling good for the drivers that have already won. If they're caught up in a wreck, they already know that they're locked into the playoffs.
Oh yeah, winning your in mindset. That's great. I can tell you that's probably why David Tooker is not fuming, although he might be fuming tonight just for having a wrecked race car so early. Nowhere to go. Taking a look at some of the other drivers that were involved in our scoring there. Chad Frankenfield, he has dropped to the 21st. Matthew Weeks in the 22nd. David Westergreen in that 12 car there. He's back in 23rd. These cars are still, what do you call it? Drivable at least. But I think we only have 2 cars out of the race. I'm actually impressed that the 24 car was able. He is still on the track right now. He Dale Earnhardt it. He grabbed the gear and kept going after flipping there at Atlanta. So
yeah, was able to get going and able to pull into pit road. So saving time instead of using a tow, which would add another 2 or 3 minutes onto his time to try to get repairs done. But still, you got Brenton Jones, the 24 of Hossack, all still in pit road getting service done.
Not the type of days they won early here at Atlanta. Johnny Thomas, the Daytona 500 champion, knows a thing about drafting. Perhaps that is why he is out front, lap 35, 5 laps shy of halfway in stage 1.
Already seeing drivers trying to get going as that outside lane did not get moving at all. Gerald Campbell, he's got to be careful as he has got a nose full of the drivers behind him.
Wow, you're right. And that is something that we'll have to think about perhaps late in this race if we get a green-white checker here. How that outside line just actually stalled. Right now, it's been the preferred groove there as now Gerald Campbell is able to get going, and now he immediately cuts to the left, and he wants the lead from Johnny Thomas. Can he do so here? Entering turn 1.
Yeah, and right now, this is the best shot. He's got to slide up here. That of Campbell. If he does not move up, which he doesn't, he's giving space, and you also see the melees going on behind. Everyone just trying to gain everything that they can. But Gerald Campbell has to utilize a side draft move, but they're going to be 3 wide battling behind our leader for that of 6th place. And moving up quickly after being involved in our first wreck, that of Gerald Rexing is coming quickly. The 10, he wants to get back up from for a chance to win here tonight.
Wow, the outside bolt center, but he is in the middle of a 3 wide situation there as Josh Robin and the 25 are really discussing mid-pack right there. They touch. Wow. The 8 and the 25 car entering the corner right there. Thankfully, it was not a bigger issue, but that was close.
Yeah, extremely close, especially because the drivers behind them were even 2-3 wide on top of the content that was being made. So got to be careful for themselves, but you look at the drivers that are up front. Johnny Thomas still moving. If you're the lead driver, you're pretty much feeling comfortable and confident that you can hold off every single driver behind you, which, if anything, Alex, this is proving. If we get a long green flag run and pit stops become, we get pit stops, it's almost a wreck happening back in 11th place. Chad Frankenfield once again almost got turned, but up front, I mean, we're looking at all the different drivers. Every single position is going to be scary on where they could potentially wreck, but if you're going to make a pass for the lead, most likely it's going to be under pit road.
It's interesting to see these guys, some of them with heavy damage there. You see whoever that is just 2 rows behind Chad Frankenfield there, no hood. They are still working. This is inside the top 20 as we see the 40 car there, and Tyler Foley, who is now back in. After serving a 3-race suspension, he is now back in the race car here tonight. Glad to see him return. Chad Frankenfield, who was the unfortunate star of that last caution flag, trying to rebound there and has been able to drive away as we see Nick Massey, the 48 car, take it all the way below that white line and gather it up. Or I'm sorry, it was not Nick Massey, it was the 23, Harrison Talent. He gathered it up.
Yeah, and Harrison Talent, a lot of smoke from himself.
Oh, he actually got a piece of the grass right there.
Yeah, he actually is just trying to hold on. It looks like he's overcooked his tires. The rear tire's a little warm for the 23, so gotta be careful on the exits of these corners. Already he's made contact with drivers ahead of him, and that was what got him loose in losing ground. He actually made contact with Colin Fern initially. That's what was the smoke and what pushed back the 23 machine. So we'll see what's going to happen with Talon as he's just trying to hold on for dear life at this point.
Overcooking your tire, is there a remedy, Sam, in order to try and get back some of that life that you've used on the tires here? Or is it once you've used it, it's done?
it's kind of a once you use it, you're done. The little ways that you can change it is when you get back into the throttle, ease back into the throttle. Don't just slam back in, and also wait a little bit later so you're trying to not, get your torque going and burning up your tires. So when you get back on the throttle, you're causing the friction to get off the corner and maximize your speed, which builds more heat onto the right side. And just being a little bit more gentle could help that remedy through a longer stint. That's not an immediate fix, so it's going to take time, but hey, still running forward, still have all 4 tires, and most of the aero still there for the 23 team, so his race is not completely over. And Alex, still a lot of racing, as we're not even done with practically stage 1, and we still got a lot to go.
8-car breakaway at the front of the field, led by Johnny Thomas, who still has been able to control the cars behind him. As you mentioned there, Sam, these guys still using the top of the racetrack there, and nobody really poking out to the bottom of the line. We saw the 31 car trying to use that, but just like what we see at a super speedway, if you don't have the momentum or perhaps somebody pushing you in order to give you that assistance entering the corner, you can go back in a hurry here and lose a lot of track position there because of the draft and how strong it is on that outside lane.
Yeah, and like you noted on, this is an 8-car breakaway. These drivers know that they are away from the madness behind them, and that's why all 8 drivers were in line for a couple of those laps. Now we're going to be seeing some trying to make a pass because of impatience kicks in. But hey, with how long this race is, a lot of these drivers could just stay in line. Utilize the draft, try to save fuel in that fashion, as when you're in the draft, you're building up more speed into the corners. You can let off and try to save fuel through the corners and maximize your speed and fuel saving that way. But for the drivers up front, they're all racers, they're all competitors. They want to be that lead driver, but no one's been able to pass Johnny Thomas just yet. But still, I think if we're going to be seeing a wreck, it's most likely going to be happening further back in the field, around 20th place, where drivers, they know they need every single position possible, and they're already drivers that are frustrated after being involved with wrecks early in this race.
Yeah, 2 wrecks so far early, multi-car crashes here in Atlanta that have dinged a couple of competitors that are trying desperately to work their way back up to the front. One competitor that has done so is that 10-car, Jared Rexing. He's sitting there in 4th. You have to wonder what's going through his mind. He was the outside pole sitter, so we know he has a fast car there. The question is, he made a mistake. Can he overcome it?
I mean, you can already say he has. I mean, he's already up to the top 5 in 4th place. This is already a great recovery for probably a team that expected to be involved in that first wreck and already see their race being over. Great job by Rexing, and now he's got to be careful because he's got the driver that is willing to get aggressive, bump, and make any types of moves possible. Scott Crumb, probably one of the more aggressive drivers that we've seen in all of the different, Elite Racing League series that we get to cover here on the Elite Racing Network, as Rexing loose and holding on.
Wow, a couple of cars looked like they had an issue there out of turn 2. As they migrate to the bottom of the racetrack there, suddenly you see a little bit of daylight, significant, actually, about 2 or 3 car lengths between the 31 and the 10 after they were both nose to tail briefly just 1 lap ago, but no harm, no foul yet. We have a new leader, though. Andrew Rucker, in that chaos, was able to get around the 91 car, and that 64 car is trying to sail away.
Yeah, and we touched on, drivers getting loose, and that was what happened to Thomas last lap. Got loose, ducked it low, and because he scrubbed off time going low on the exit of turn 2 last lap, gave space, and Andrew Rucker making the pass, showing, hey, as the leader, if you make a mistake, it can be costly and losing a lot of ground for yourself. As Thomas, now that he's trapped in the middle of the pack in dirty air, the 91, he's losing ground quickly after leading a good portion of the early parts of this race.
We see Scott Crump and another competitor also get loose out of turn 2. Wow, Tate Lytle, the championship leader, had to avoid and almost spinning. That is the 13 of Brody Moore, who looks like he still has an issue on that race car.
Yeah, these drivers are really starting to feel the heat now. 15 laps of green flag racing on this set of tires that the drivers are working on, and they're already the drivers that have been over aggressive, trying to gain every single position possible, fading back. Brody Moore, one of our biggest movers before that spill. I mean, he started the race all the way back in 36th position, was up to that of 8th place, and now has fallen all the way back to that of 16th. So You gain a lot of time, but you also lose it in a blink of an eye.
Wow. I think you're absolutely right. This is the longest green flag run of the night. It is still early here, but these next-gen cars, I think, are beginning to show that they are indeed a handful, especially once the good on these tires begins to go away.
Yeah, and we're seeing drivers that are coming back from adversity, making some moves forward. I mean, we saw that in the back half of this group, which was once 8 drivers, is now built up to 10 pack up front that has started to pull away. Elam as well as Jacob Adams able to work together to move up into this pack, and we saw Adams having issues and fell back to 29. He's now making his moves forward, but it's really the mixture of Johnny Thomas and Rexing that continue to stay side by side. Gotta be careful. It's Rexing once again. That inside lane, yes, you can make passes there, but you can just see what later and later into the run, it is just way too loose out of the exit of turn 2 to hold on the inside lane.
Almost an exact replay, but on the opposite end of the racetrack of what happened to him right there in turn 4 to bring out our first caution. So the 10 car doing a great job, but my goodness. At that point, as a driver, do you just decide, hey, let me just stay in line for a little bit, or you just don't even think about it and you're back on it again trying to get everything you can?
Oh, I mean, after a loose and scary situation like that, you got to take a breather. At least 2 to 3 laps of just calm down, and also kind of like we were touching on before, of let your tires cool off, then get aggressive and start pushing. You got to give yourself a little bit of time for those tires to try to rebound, try to match with the drivers around you, and then move forward. Rexing, we know his race isn't over, but in front of him, they are getting mixy because Colin Fern and Scott Crump, they're battling for that 3rd position, but they've almost made multiple contacts with one another and almost made contact with that of Campbell. And Campbell, he's got to be thinking about making moves because Alex lap cars now soon to be a factor.
Oh my goodness, as if it couldn't get even more hectic up front. Let's add a couple of cars that are off the pace, going to be thrown into the mix here, whether they want to or not. Andrew Rucker will be the first car to try and figure out how to get around this lap traffic. Hopefully those guys will stay to the inside, but the question is, if they are too wide behind them, how do those guys behind the leaders navigate that lap traffic? Oh, Jared Rexing gets turned. There it is. Trevor Elam off the racing track, and there is Josh Robin. Elam back. He is off the racing surface, so I do not know if this will trigger a yellow flag. We stay under green. Heavy damage to the back end of the 29.
If we're going to see a yellow, it's going to be an admin thrown yellow, but because they were off the racing line and on the apron when they slid and were sideways, no yellow will be thrown. But as, we touched on Rexing and Elam both making recovery runs for themselves. Well, in a blink of an eye, it's going to be gone as we take a look at the replay. Loose, sensation once again, Alex, on why we saw this wreck.
Yep, the 10 car just overcorrects there, and Trevor Elam becomes an innocent bystander there. You see Josh Robin also get a piece of the action as well. And if memory serves me correctly there, Sam, these two had a history as well at Indy.
Yeah, both drivers.
It was a wreck that Rexing actually spun out the 29 car, so that is the second incident to note of these drivers getting into one another.
Yeah, and we've already seen a little bit of tempers flaring early on in here tonight. I mean, coming into these wrecks, being collected, you're hoping that it doesn't, carry over to other races. But right there, it was more of Jared Rexing's luck. Just ran out for the 10. We'd seen amazing save after amazing save. But at some point, it's going to give, and the overcorrection came out, bringing out the wreck, but no caution coming out. And that's giving away up front for our front 4, able to pull away from the rest of our front 6, really, to pull away from the rest of the pack, which once was a group of 10, now down to 6.
Trevor Elam there has not gone down pit road. You see still damage on the back end of that 29 car there, and that is something that he's going to have to fix under green. So to add insult to injury is going to be a lengthier pit stop there for that 29 car versus had the yellow flag actually come out. But no yellow flag. Let's go back up front and see Scott Crump and Andrew Rucker still leading this 6-car breakaway at the front of the field now. And Rucker taking a look underneath there, but we just have not seen that inside line really be used to complete the pass for the lead at all here tonight.
Yeah, when the pass for the lead was made, it was really the pass on the outside that Rucker was able to make on Johnny Thomas. Same thing happened here where Rucker got loose, dropped down, and Scott Crump made the pass on the outside. So it's going to be all about, can you hold on to your car up front? If you're able to defend on the outside, you're able to hold on for the whole entire lead, it looks like, as Fern right on the back bumper of Rucker, giving a shove to the 64, and that could be affecting him on the exit of turn 4 as here comes Fern once again.
Wow. Taking a look at these guys, it's always surprises me how no matter what the issues of other drivers here, these guys are thinking about one thing and one thing only, and that is to get their car and gain another position on the racetrack right now. How much of other drivers, other competitors' woes do you really pay attention to in the driver's seat there, Sam? Is that something that you take into consideration as you're racing the problems of other competitors, or do you really note them at all when you're behind the racing wheel in iRacing?
Yeah, I mean, there's small things that you take note of, right? If there's a driver points-wise that you're always going to keep your eyes out on, such as the bubble drivers, Andrew Rucker, Gerald Campbell, both drivers that are inside of the top 14 points-wise that are bubble drivers, their eyes are on where's Joshua Clark and Ethan Burrell, and they're nowhere to be found currently. So it's all about just running consistent up front. But Colin Fern, aggressive slide job move, but right back to Scott Crump with the crossover.
However, the 86 car there, he got the position as far as it being on the outside line with that slide job. Didn't complete the pass. Can he do so on this side of the racetrack? He has the 64 car behind him, but Scott Crump slides up, and unfortunately for the 86 car, whoa, he gets loose, he travels it and uses that momentum. He'll still take the lead. Wow, great driving up front.
And Andrew Rucker going to be capitalizing as they are still on top of one another. Both drivers that were up front got loose, but it's going to be the inside lane. You know that you're wanting to go there. You see an opportunity for a pass, but at the same time, you got to balance out the risk and reward of trying to make a pass for the lead on the inside or getting loose and potentially losing your car.
My goodness, the 90 car in the span of one lap went from first back to fourth place. And Colin Fern was able to complete the pass. That was very impressive there. We saw the need for the 90 car to try and get up front. He had to do everything he can in order to protect it. Because I believe the 86 car, Colin, he made an excellent move. That slide job, it didn't complete, but it put him in that position to try and defend first place out of turn 2 where the 90 car had that issue. So that was a big moment by the 86 car to try and take control of this race, and so far it's worked out for him.
Yeah, and I touch on the fact that we've seen Scott Crump and Colin Fern. I'd say that they're racing aggressive. They're getting right on the back bumper of the drivers around them. They're able to bump them, give a little bit of a shove, not wrecking the drivers around them. Well, at least not trying, as we saw Scott Crump try to do a similar thing to Chad Frankfield, bringing out a third caution of the day. But, we've seen these drivers all trying to do different movements to try to get some speed, get an advantage somewhere, and that's why we're seeing Scott Crump willing to go inside. Colin Fern as well, willing to be aggressive, go to inside and make some passes. If we're going to be seeing a pass, you're most likely going to have to give a little bit of a bump to the driver ahead of you going into the corner, so they overstep, they go a little bit too fast, they have to let off, which gives you an opportunity to make a pass.
So, just to recap here tonight, I've heard things such as the draft, the bump and run, all things that I would describe, Talladega, Bristol, and then I'm looking on the side of these things for barrier walls, and it says Atlanta. I just can't believe what we're talking about as far as what drivers are doing in order to get the lead here at this 1.5 mile Speedway with this next-gen car.
Hey, Alex, we're going to have to get used to it. This is the next-gen, soon-to-be the current-gen cars. So this is what we're going to be talking about a lot. And what's incredible to think is that Atlanta, it's going to be repaved with a new face, and it's going to be faster and narrower, and it's going to be just as crazy as what we're seeing here on the virtual side of things with Colin Fern up front. So I am so excited for what the future brings with real-life NASCAR, but it's always blessed to see what the elite drivers can do up front.
So far, the longest green flag run of the night here. We last went green on lap 35. These guys can make it on fuel. The fuel window here, we expect it to be around 60 to 65 laps. The tire window, though, not as far, and especially if you've been abusing your tires there. You probably want to pit a little bit early. We are 10 laps away from that stage break that will not bring out a yellow flag. It will just award a playoff point to whoever's leading lap 80. And right now, Colin Fern could perhaps get that with 10 laps to go in stage 1.
Yeah, I mean, Colin Fern looking to maximize his points, and stage points massive to be gained, especially with some of the big windows that these drivers are having of trying to gain points for themselves. I mean, Colin Fern needs every single point possible for himself to make sure he makes it into the playoffs. And you look at some of the other drivers that are racing around him, they're all feeling pretty comfortable, except for that of Andrew Rucker and also Gerald Campbell. They're both also trying to maximize their points, and that's just from this front group. You go back to 7th, 8th, 9th, and 10th. Those drivers also trying to get every point possible for themselves. You see the 40, that of Tyler Fode, one of the drivers that's been a favorite coming into this season, but Alex, the suspension was massive for this 40 team.
Yeah, it was. Thankfully, he has a win, so I believe he is still considered playoff eligible there. I want to give a shout out though to that driver that is underneath him right now, and that is the 83 of Trey Holmes, having an excellent run, keeping his nose out of trouble. One of our part-timers here in this series has an affiliation, I believe. I know I know him from actually PS3 days there a couple of years ago, and he's doing a great job in that 83 car there, keeping his nose out of trouble, and a solid run inside the top 10.
Oh, absolutely. Trey Holmes and a lot of other drivers, with the misfortunes of the guys that were caught up in those first two cautions of the day, you know, it's given opportunity for drivers that might have been running, you know, aiming for a top 20 type of a day. They now have a shot for a top 15 or even a top 10 with some of the faster competitors being taken out.
Yeah, as we mentioned that, some of the guys that we expected to be up front are having some terrible times there. Jared Rexing with our outside pole sitter there. I don't actually see him actually scored inside our seat right now. Chad Frankenfield, he is marred back in the 22nd position there. Jared Rexing still on the track there, but he has lost, I believe, a considerable amount of time. And then Trevor Elam as well was involved in that. He's the last car on the lead lap.
Yeah, the big thing as we continue to see on screen, the battling for the lead. Here comes Tate Lytle, the man who's been just waiting and looming. He's been letting everyone else be aggressive up front, and now the 56 pouncing at the shot to be our victor of stage 1, but he might make a little bit of contact as Rucker and that of Lytle got to be careful with one another.
Wow, there's a reason why he is the point leader there. He's been able to drive his way methodically throughout the rest of the field. It almost went away from him in a big way, but you're right. He seems to always be able to smell when a checkered flag, whether it be one black and white or green and white, is waving. That 56 car seems to be near the front.
Yeah, I mean, this is the balance, right? I've been touching on Colin Fern, Scott Crump, how aggressive they've been. Well, in the shadows, running from in 6th and 5th position up front, they'll almost practically this whole entire stint. It's been Tate Lytle, and you see the looseness on Rucker. His tire's starting to fade away, as you see there. Elms going to be on the outside, just letting the drivers go on by. But, hey, if Colin Fern can hold on, we're going to see the power of the 56 and how well Tate Lytle's been holding and saving his tires for this moment right now.
Josh Robin also going a lap down right there. You see that 5, make it 4 laps to go to the end of stage 1 that time by. And Tate Lytle trying to get around. He has one more car to negotiate there after starting, I believe. Actually, I don't see where he started there, but he's done a great job there. He's gained 6 positions there, so he started 8th.
Yeah, Tate Lytle starting 8th. Colin Fern starting in 15th. Our biggest mover of the drivers that are in our top 5 is that of Jacob Adams. Actually started back in 21st position and up quite a great margin for himself. One of our biggest movers of the race currently. And it's great to see these guys that are having great rebounds, especially for Adams that was caught up in a wreck earlier in the race.
Yeah, I forgot about that there. He's doing a great job there. Fixed whatever damage he did have on that 25 car. One of our drivers that is in need for a win this season, the 56 car, Tate Lytle. 2 laps to go, and he actually led that lap there. Can he hang on for another 3 miles to the end of stage 1?
Hey, I mean, if you're trying to win stage 1, it may just take a nose. That's all you need is cross the line, make sure you're that lead driver, and you don't need to make a full pass, and nor do you need to make a full pass, Alex, to win the race. I mean, this is great time in stage 1. Get notes. How do you want to make passes later in a run, early in a run? And here comes Tate Lytle.
Oh, he got up there. He crossed in front of the 86 of Colin Fern, who now makes the crossover move. 1 lap to go here in stage 1. And Tate Lytle able to get in front of the 86 car, trying to hang on a mile to the green and white checkered flag for stage 1.
With a great move from Lytle as he came up and put Fern on the inside. It clogged up everyone else behind. Tate Lytle's just pulling away.
We talked about the reason why he is the point leader. He's going to add another playoff point to his book as he comes out of turn 4. And stage 1 winner, Tate Lytle, gets it done here at Atlanta. We are now in stage 2 with a green flag pit stop going to be in the mix here sooner rather than later.
Yeah, these drivers looking for a pit stop. Going to be aiming around lap 100 to 110 is going to be the window for a lot of these drivers on when they're going to come to pit road. Some even might be able to stretch it out to even lap 115. But drivers have to pick and choose when they want to be making those moves. But, you know, Alex, we saw the aggression from the drivers that were trying to lead for that stage 1. But like you noted on, no yellow to break up the stages. So all the drivers that were being aggressive, trying to make sure they were the best position for the end of stage 1, they are now in the back foot starting stage 2 as drivers losing ground and going backwards, such as Gerald Campbell, that's now back to 9th.
Wow, you're absolutely right there. And the urgency, the sense of urgency to try and get up front is magnified because without a yellow flag, and indeed one that would bunch up this field there, you have to make up that lost time there already. So,
yeah.
And I'm impressed by the 56 car there. I think you mentioned that there earlier there, Sam. He played it perfectly as far as being able to save his tires, work his way through traffic, and then it just kind of snookered him toward the end of that stage there. And Colin Fern just didn't have enough. That was an aggressive move. I called it the mega block to get up front and get the lead away from Colin Fern in that 86 car there. And he is still been able to keep it. Colin Fern has yet to mount another attack to get it back.
Yeah, and Colin Fern now going to be going to the inside, trying to make a move here. So they're going to be side by side, 3 rows deep. You don't get to say that very often when you're in a long green flag run. I mean, Alex, we look at the current gen cars for the Cup machines. When they're racing here on iRacing, when we're this far into a green flag run, the leader is usually gone, but we're now racing 3 wide for 3rd.
Oh my goodness, and you see the 64 Andrew Rucker actually get out of the gas right there. Car wanted to travel up the racetrack. He did a great job taking care of his competitors to the outside of him. Johnny Thomas, and Jacob Adams. That could have been big, but Rucker recognizing that perhaps that just was not needed right there as he tried to sneak back in line there.
Tried, but just, trying to pick and choose where you want to go. Tate Lytle now going to be, we're seeing Johnny Thomas, a driver that's been up front. Luckily for Thomas, he's utilized the draft to still stay in our top 5. We've seen a lot of our top contenders that have been up front, leading a lot of laps, then once they get put into the draft, losing ground and falling backwards. But Alex, the longer this run goes on, the longer the green flag run goes on, we are going to be seeing lap traffic grow more and more for our leaders as the further they go through in lapping drivers, as currently we've only got a total of 26 drivers left on the lead lap, which is going to be dropping down another position the more and more we move forward. But the bigger the packs get that the lead drivers are going to have to deal with as the run goes on.
See Dallas Mahan, a victim of one of our earlier crashes here, trying to put that wounded car there, at least keep it to the finish. But still a lot of damage on that race car. And as we mentioned, some of the competitors that had earlier issues, there are no fast repairs here tonight, so they have got to fix their damage in real time. And that has not played out there. Kind of reminds me of what we saw with that big crash in the real world there on Sunday from Texas. There are a lot of competitors that had damage to their race car there, suddenly being still a lot of miles per hour slower than the rest of the field. And that's certainly showing its head. Real life often imitates what we see in virtual world, huh?
Oh, absolutely. I mean, there's been a lot of times as, oh boy, drivers, that is Jacob Adams out of sorts. The 25 holds on, but just, we noted on drivers being aggressive. I said that so many times. With that aggression, we now get into this later stage of a run. These drivers, last time they pitted was over 55 laps ago. And that means there's a lot of wear and tear on these tires. And whenever you feel a little bit of a shimmy earlier in a run where it felt like the tail end wanted to kick out when you're on the inside or even on the outside, it magnifies the longer the run goes on. And when you get loose on these longer runs, it gets harder to even try to save the car. So drivers, when you see that type of a slip up from Adams, it could get dangerous very quickly. And if we're seeing drivers up front struggling like this, drivers further back are struggling as well.
Yeah, I have to say that the leader, he's not having the easiest time there. They are all working hard to make sure their cars continue to be put out front and have that good track position. As Tate Lytle's been able to do that. I wanted to ask you there, Sam, do we see perhaps the talk of short pitting some of these guys in order to put fresher tires? Because we've seen in the past how you can be almost a second to 2 seconds faster on newer tires there than the rest of the field that's still out on older tires.
Yeah, I mean, right now, currently, these drivers are almost a full 2 seconds slower than their best times that they put down today. So already, if you would come in, you're going to be gaining time if you come in with another driver. But that's going to be the key. When you come into pit road, we've noted on, factors of this racetrack is see Scott Crump struggling and going back even further now. But pit road going to be a decision maker for some, and you're going to have to come in together as a team. As our first couple of drivers into pit road for green flag pit stops, looks like Chad Frankenfield and Rusty Campbell's going to be our first two hitting pit road, and they came in as a pair. That's something we're going to have to see. Pairs or more have to come in, because if you're coming by yourself there, Alex, you're losing ground in time.
All right, but the caveat to that is that I like pitting by myself. The fact that I don't have to worry about somebody perhaps getting into me or something else being a victim of somebody else's circumstances. So there's always the drawback of pitting by yourself. As we see the 90 car, he actually put a tire on the grass. The 99, that was Brandon Key. But now we're seeing some of our leaders on board come down pit road. That's Andrew Rucker and Colin Fern, who was in third place entering his pit stop.
Yeah, and they're going to be getting service done right now is Colin Fern and others, and these drivers coming in after a 60-lap stint for themselves. So some of our first runners, 60 laps. The question is, who's going to be the drivers that decide to stay out even further? Big thing, Fern and Rucker both were drivers that were leading a lot of the majority of the first part of this stint. Tate Lytle was just running in fifth place, and in the draft, the same for Adams and for Johnny Thomas. Expect these front three to stay out for another lap to 3 laps for themselves because of the fuel that they saved in the draft.
And they will, once we cycle back around, they will be considerably back. But however, 3 laps will be enough to be made up later on for our second green flag run. We'll see that play a factor. Once we cycle back around with green flag pit stops are done. We see Johnny Thomas is in and Jacob Adams as well.
Yeah, and here's that disadvantage I was talking about, right, of coming in by yourself. Tate Lytle, lonesome driver. The next closest driver to Tate Lytle that's going to have to come to pit road is 2.2 seconds back, and that's Tyler Fode with his second pack of drivers that have been getting mixy with Holmes as well as Fode. They've been on top of one another this whole entire stint, as Fode into pit road as well as Chris Wright, as that of Tate Lytle continues to stay out for another lap.
This is impressive by Tate Lytle there. He'll certainly have the advantage of newer tires on the back end of the run. That's what earned him the stage 1 win. Perhaps that's what he's thinking big picture to try and drive his way through the field. But for now, he is definitely going to be in a deficit to the guys that we've already seen on pit road. Right now, we see Chris Wright, Tyler Fode, David Westergreen, Zach Evans, all on pit road. And the 56 car looks like he will now elect to get service. 45 miles an hour right there, and he has to miss, I believe that's Trevor Elam in that 29 car. Very slow entering pit road.
Elam was in the way of 2 other drivers that came into pit road, that of Trey Holmes and Nick Massey. Both had to evade a driver, and you hate to see this. Elam, he's trying to just coast to pit road so he doesn't have to take a tow, but he is in the way of other traffic. This is dangerous for all the other competitors. I'm wondering if race control is going to call him out on this and force the 29 to just take the fast repair and get off the pit road surface so he's not a hazard anymore.
And is that the fact that he ran out of fuel right there? I don't know exactly why he would be so slow. As we see service complete on the 56 car, but he will be far back well behind both the 86 and the 64, who have now cycled back to the point. And to your point there, Sam, they are drafting partners there, the 56 car. Although he has newer tires, his work is going to be a little bit harder because he was by himself.
Yeah, he's now going to figure out how to find a drafting partner and move forward, as well as staying out as long as Tate Lytle stayed out for. He was gifting time to his other competitors, as you're seeing a lot of hard racing right now. That of Andrew Rucker, trying not to get any more pressured from drivers that are a lap down after getting by the 21 of Corey Abbott. But, Alex, these drivers, that's the give and take, right? When you come in early, you're maximizing your tires, you're gaining time and pulling away from the rest of the field. Now it's the test. Can those old newer tires be able to try to catch up with or without the draft?
Well, and I like, if we're looking ahead to stage 2, which will end on lap 160, we know for a fact that Tate Lytle can make it there, and that will be about another 60-lap run as we are working lap 100 next time by. These guys all pitted, I believe, around lap 95, so it takes them right toward the end of their fuel window, and some of those guys actually pitted, I believe, before 65 to go in stage 2, so that might be something that we'll have to watch as far as guys not being able to make it necessarily all the way to the end of stage 2. But Tate Lytle, he's definitely put himself in the best position in order to do that. So we know for a fact, without another yellow flag coming out for an incident on the racetrack, that 56 car will be able to make it when stage 2, the green and white checkers are out.
Yeah, also, as we're watching the drivers, lap traffic, lead lap drivers, all trying to find their footing and where they want to be placed now moving forward. Under those green flag pit stops, we saw the 29 of Trevor Earlom slow. We weren't sure if he ran out of fuel or not. Went back and watched the 29. Actually had gone into pit road on the entry of pit road, got into the wall, wrecked. That's why he was so slow, and now has officially parked it, taking it to the back of the garage, as well as Brody Moore in the 13 has decided to park it for the day.
Oh, that is sad and unfortunate for two drivers who definitely showed flashes early in this race of perhaps being brilliant. Trevor Elam, through no fault of his own there, being involved in an issue with Jared Rexing, and then the 13 cars with handling woes on that car after he was made it as high as 8th, finding himself in the garage. A bit of a disappointment there early. So working lap 102 to 60 here, the NHPA 400 at Atlanta. We are going to let the pitchers do the talking for a little bit. We're going to take a quick break, but don't go anywhere. We'll be right back. You're watching all the action right here on YouTube. Welcome back to Atlanta Motor Speedway. Yellow flag is out for the third time here tonight. An incident on the racetrack there involving the 28 of Joshua Clark. He goes for a spin as he gets loose on the inside of another competitor. Almost backs it into the wall, but does a great job, but comes to a stop just before the start-finish line. And the yellow flag, number 3, is out as a result.
Yeah, that other driver going to be that of Joshua Personette in the 18, and that looked identical to our first wreck where we saw that of Gerald Campbell and Gerald Rexine making contact with one another. And why when we were under that quick time for us to really think about our thoughts, we were talking a possibility of Tate Lytle not being able to catch up to this lead group. Well, Alex, with this caution, he's back in the mix, and so is everybody else.
Yeah, this is definitely going to be a game changer as far as allowing those that perhaps needed to fix a little bit of damage on the race car this time and service that they need to do so under the yellow flag. And of course, bottles are filled up once again. Colin Fern and Andrew Rucker, who had put I believe about a 1.5 seconds over third place there, they should be able to, these 86 overshot his pit box, might be able to get away with only losing one position there for Rucker. But yeah, you're right, this caution flag, a big break for a number of competitors who had found themselves just outside of that draft.
Yeah, and drivers trying to get as much as they can out of pit road. You see there, not coming to pit road was Goodman, but the dash out of pit road, close in, looking like it was a very close on who was going to get it between that of Adams and Fern. It looks like Jacob Adams was the driver that beat out Fern there coming out of pit road. Do want to also give note that of Corey Abbott was the driver that got the lucky dog position. But Alex, that was a certain dash so you can get out of pit road, which I noted on. If you can be the first car, making a pass under pit road, that's the easiest way to make a pass and one of the best ways to defend for the lead.
Yeah, a driver, though, that I'm still looking to see what happened to is Andrew Rucker. He had entered with Colin Fern. He was in second place. He has now fallen himself all the way back to 19th. So a dramatic issue for the 64 car, who will not restart there inside the top 15 at all on that pit road. A very bad break for a driver who needs to win his way into the playoffs.
Yeah, and Andrew Rucker, it's decided to spend extra time on pit road. We had seen the drivers that were up front really beating and banging off of one another. We saw Scott Crump and others willing to bounce off one another that were up front. And now that we saw the 64 decided to stay in pit road, extended time to get repairs done. And, you got to make those decisions on if you want to get the repairs done. But now, Rucker, he's in the hornet's nest where drivers are willing to go 4 or 5 wide at times to just gain any position. Driver that was up front trying to go for a win now is in a position of possibly getting caught up in a mess. But up front, it's Adam, Fern, Thomas, Tate Lytle, Chris Wright. I mean, we haven't talked about Chris Wright at all in the 20.
No,
and
not
he's
at
now
all
up to the
today.
top 5.
He's doing a great job there, and definitely one of those that benefited from this timely yellow flag, or untimely if you're the 28 car who's still limping on the apron right there. But Jacob Adams going to be your leader. We'll give a quick commercial. I think we'll have enough time before these guys go back double wide. So we'll run that real quick.
My name is John Cunningham with C2 Freight Resources. We are a Hub Zone certified logistics company here in Houston, Alabama. We've been in business for over 20 years, working with the Department of Defense and the federal government, among many other customers. C2 is committed to truckload shipments along with less than truckload shipments across the United States, Canada, and Mexico. Our high level of service is what keeps our customers coming back year after year. Our industry-leading transportation management software, along with our tracking software, allow our customers to know where their shipments are at any time, any day. In closing, C2 Freight looks forward to earning your trust and business through actions day in and day out. We know if given the opportunity, you'll be pleased with our service and communication.
Welcome back to the action here. I want to give a shout out to one of our sponsors, Blue Egg Market, the marketing department for small businesses. They are everything that you could use And they are your biggest fan, so please go to them. They do so much for the Elite Racing Network there. They help us just punch above their weight class. We enjoy them and having them on board for this season, and want to make sure that you benefit from them as well. Up front, Jacob Adams leads the field back down to green. Colin Fern on the outside, and we are back underway. Lap 111, 260.
Yeah, Jacob Adams, first time he's going to be up front trying to defend. We've seen drivers early on. The outside lane is where you want to be as the leader. Easy way to defend the drivers, but we're jam-packed. We're close to one another, and this is the time to make some passes as Johnny Thomas right on the back bumper of the 25, and now ducks it low to turn 3.
Fires out of the pocket. There's the Daytona 500 champion there, but no drafting help with him. Colin Fern stayed faithful to the back bumper of the 25. Could that put the 91 in a world full of hurt as the 86 car, thinking about threading the needle, almost thought about going 3 wide right there. He still gets to the back bumper of the 25 car. Jacob Adams continues with the lead side by side for second place and throughout the rest of the field.
Yeah, the rest of the field certainly still looking like a madhouse, as up front, still side by side for second place, as Johnny Thomas needs to get back in line to find the momentum for the straightaways, but everyone else, they're all trying to stay in line, maximize the speed. We're watching these next-gen cars, and you're just seeing the power of the outside lane and the draft, and now here comes Fern. Adams made the mistake. He stayed down low for too long.
Yeah, opened up the door on the high side for the 86 car and made it wide open to bring the 20 car with it. He'll have a little bit of a hole if he gets in front of that 91 car. Does he duck back in line? He does so. Johnny Thomas, though, not going to give up on the inside. You see him use the momentum he earned from turn 2 back to the inside in turn 3 and try to make that crossover move. But new leader, the 86 car, bringing along Chris Wright, the highest he has been all night long in that 20 car.
Chris Wright, our winner from Phoenix, now coming in, and he's been quiet all day long. The 20 been slowly, methodically moving forward. Qualified back in 12th, now up to 2nd. Chris Wright doing everything in his power just to run up front, but he has not been able to try to test the pass for the lead. So the 20 doesn't have that experience, but a driver that does is Tate Lytle. He's back now up to 3rd.
Yeah, we just talked about that before, that second to last break out of the 56 car. You thought he might have been out of it. That caution flag was a big break. Well, I'll tell you, that is a big break as the 56 car there. He was the stage 1 winner, continuing to put his name in the mix. We have yet to see a repeat winner at all, but I would be hard-pressed to see that 56 car. It looks like he might be a winner here tonight.
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of drivers that have won this season that you just look at that you know can get another win. I mean, Chris Wright, he's now found some amazing speed. Tate Lytle's been looking quick. You never know. Johnny Thomas might find some extra speed. But at the same time, we're not even halfway yet through this race, Alex, and we've seen already a lot of big wrecks happen during this type of stage of the race. I'm going to be concerned for this field. When we go into the first 12 laps of a run, everyone's jam-packed, they're packed like sardines, they're right on top of one another, but it's usually around 16 laps into a green flag run, drivers get loose, that's when the caution comes out.
Oh, goodness. Don't think we have seen the yellow flag end at all here tonight as we see a great pass made by the 24. Chris Wright has made it to the top of the leaderboard. He got to the outside of the 86 of Colin Fern, and now trying to put a little bit of daylight, about a 2-car length lead the 20 car has over second place Colin Fern, and look at him jam out. Tate Lytle has them nose to tail behind him in 3rd.
Yeah, I mean, clean passes. I think all the drivers are recognizing the outside lane is where you want to be if you're going to be making the pass for the lead. If you go to the inside, you have to be making a slide job move immediately into the corner, because if you are stuck on the inside on the exit of turns 2 and 4, you're going to be going backwards instead of forward.
Couple of new names there making some great gains inside the top 10. Look at the 83 of Trey Holmes inside the top 5. For the first time here tonight, and just behind him, Harrison Talon. He had that big slide through the grass there as he's been able to work up in 6th. And Jacob Adams, he was our leader for that last restart. He's fallen all the way back up to 7th, but great run by the 83 and the 23.
Absolutely. It's been a fabulous run as the pass for the lead has been made. Fern back up to the lead as we see the battling and mixings going on. Trey Holmes, he was with that of Tyler Fody battling for 9th and 8th place, but with this caution, it's allowed the 83 get some, this caution, drivers getting fresh tires, being packed with one another. It just breathes life to the whole entire field, with them now feeling like, hey, we've got another shot to possibly stay with this top 10 group or even with the top 5 for a chance to win.
Yeah, and right now, keep in mind, there is going to be a stage break. Caution, no caution, but a stage break at 160, so we are about 40 laps away. Definitely going to be in the window where the tire wear is going to be very severe for these guys. We'll see who can manage their way and work the way. We saw the 56 car use that to his advantage tremendously to win stage 1. Have other drivers been able to take note?
And also, excuse me, also something we're noting on is you're starting to see the weather. There is a little bit of cloud cover, starting to get a little bit darker and grayer. We touched on it earlier about the weather of this track, Hot Atlanta. It was 123 degrees track temperature, which was making it hot, slick, and drivers struggling to find grip later into a run. Well, it is cooled off dramatically for the track temperature. It's now 106, still quite hot, but much cooler than at the start of the race.
Yeah, you will definitely feel that inside the race car, as we saw right there. You can see turns 2 and perhaps much of the backstretch all under shade. As we see, actually now the sun actually looks like it's poking out just ever so much, but things are definitely cooling down here at Hot Atlanta as Trey Holmes trying to get to the 91 car, Johnny Thomas there, and work his way up another position on the leaderboard.
Also seeing that of Jacob Adams, who was up front at the start of this restart. He's now falling all the way back to 6th place, trying to recover, and got to be careful when everyone's on the outside, everyone's in the same lane. When you see a little bit of a bobble, most drivers' reaction is go high. There's not enough space, and Adams almost forced himself into the outside wall.
Yeah, I think the cars, they naturally want to go up high. That's where they'll run, but that's also very much a defensive line. I like that line because you have the wall yourself as a barrier. You're making other competitors, if they want to pass you, they have got to use that low lane there, and it just puts himself at a disadvantage even more so than perhaps when you're running in the middle of the racetrack where you have to defend both lines, at least with something such as the yellow line that we talk about at Daytona and Talladega, or the wall with how high the line is being run right now. That's a natural barrier where you just, if you protect it, you don't have to worry about another competitor being between you and it.
Yeah, and Jacob Adams is finding that speed. He is finding it, but at the same time, he had made a little bit of a shake up in the middle of turns 3 and 4. Lost ground to Johnny Thomas when he was actually moving forward for the 25 team. As you're seeing, everyone now up to that middle groove, almost up to the 3rd lane, right against the wall as Holmes holds on.
An elevator move made by the 83 from the top to the bottom, but he does hang on. He'll lose a couple of positions right there. Thankfully not an entire race car as things are heating up. The 56 car, the 20 suddenly in the middle. This is 3-wide battle for position there. Tate Lytle pushed by Johnny Thomas, and he'll take 2 for the price of 1 entering turn 1.
And that was for the lead, Tate Lytle. Johnny Thomas thought about forcing the issue, maybe even going 3 wide again. Not able to do it. Oh no!
Pounds the wall in front of traffic. He goes for a spin. Gerald Campbell gets a piece of the action right in front of Chad Frankenfield, who avoids him. Big wreck for the 86 car, Colin Fern. And the caution flag is out for the 4th time here tonight.
Alec Valvez, Scott Crump, we noted on Gerald Campbell involved in this one. And Campbell could not be involved in a wreck. This is terrible for that whole entire team as a whole. The 31 crew needed to get a top 15 finish here tonight, and this could be putting them outside of the top 20 with that type of damage.
And Scott Crump, heavy front end damage there, nowhere to go with the 86 car. Let's ride on board, perhaps it's Scott Crump, as he just had nowhere to go, was running along right behind this issue when the 86 of Colin Fern had that problem and sailed it into the outside wall out of turn 2 hard.
Yeah, I mean, this is one of those things, right, where drivers are hoping that they, there's not going to be a wreck up front. This is around that time that I was talking about where you're 15, 16 laps into a three flag stint, you're stacked up, and a wreck up front. You really don't have any choice to go, especially because everyone was practically side by side from that of 12th on back. You were trapped, as we're on board with Crump here to see his point of view, and he had nowhere to go. That's just demoralizing when you're running, trying to get a recovery race, and you're wrecked out like that.
Sam, I often say this, and I usually say it at tracks like Daytona and Talladega. When the leader has a problem, it becomes everyone's problem. There is nowhere to go.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, we've touched on it multiple times here tonight. Atlanta has turned into a super speedway earlier than I think most of us were expecting. We know the new Atlanta is practically going to turn that track into a mini super speedway, but these next-gen cars, you just saw there, I mean, Johnny Thomas and Fern, I mean, just a little bit of the rear end and front end collecting with one another, and it just whipped the 86 into the outside wall, and at that point, he was just along for the ride.
And that took out a number of competitors that were very much competitive here tonight. Colin Fern, he had made great moves to get the lead right there, and Scott Crump, we knew had a fast car, and Gerald Campbell was our pole setter. So, 3 guys, all with a shot to win their night. Perhaps not over, but definitely done as far as victory lane.
Absolutely, as it's really all the drivers from 20th on back in pit road for extended time for repairs, and a lot of these drivers just hoping to survive. But with the timing of this caution, when we go green once again, Alex, hey, we're here at halfway.
Yeah, that's 200 miles down here, and no shortage of action at all here tonight. So definitely want to thank you guys. I know it's a long race for those out in the YouTube land, but definitely no shortage of action here from the Atlanta Motor Speedway. We'll take this extended break to give ourselves a break as well, so don't go anywhere. We'll be right with the restart here momentarily. Welcome back to Atlanta Motor Speedway. We want to give a thanks to the National Horseshoe Pitchers Association. They are an organization dedicated to bringing fun into your life through the competition of horseshoe pitching among friends. So definitely come pitch with them. You can look them up there on your favorite streaming surface, or excuse me, favorite. My goodness, I cannot talk right now. Favorite Google service. Definitely look them up there. They are the title sponsor for tonight's race. So glad that they are on board. As we are just now crossing over the halfway mark, Tate Lytle in front of Johnny Thomas, and the green flag is back in the air. I choked on some water right there, Sam.
We heard me coughing because I was choking on water. It's happened. We're halfway through. We survived the first half. We'll see if we can make it through the second half, as most of these drivers hoping for the same. All our front 5 going to be in line, as we're going to be seeing that of Adams figuring out, hey, that outside line's where I want to be, as they're going to be 3 wide for 4.
Wow, you see Tyler 40 there have to get out of the gas there, and he gets swallowed whole by the 23. And Andrew Rucker in that 64 car. Wasn't so long ago that guy was on pit road for an extended amount of time. He's been able to rebound inside the top 5. Out of turn 2, though, Johnny Thomas still not going to let that inside line tell him he can't make a pass there. He was once again searching for a way around that 56 car.
comes now also that of Andrew Rucker and Tyler Fody. Fody, like we've noted on, suspended. Wanting to get a win here today would help so much for this 40 team points-wise, as well as Andrew Rucker. We saw him fall all the way back to 14th, and now has climbed his way up to second and out, trying to force it for the lead.
Wow, and he did so there almost by himself. He has gained a number of spots there. That 64 car is on a tear, and it's bringing along help as they are side by side, 2, 3, 4, 5 rows deep throughout the rest of the field. Tate Lytle trying to cover the spot, but the 91 of Johnny Thomas in that outside line, they are charging hard. 10 cars underneath, separated by less than half a second, entering turn 1.
Side by side for the lead, and this is the best time to do it. We're only about 3-4 laps under green flag stints on these fresh tires that these drivers just put on, so this is the time to make the moves, but you're only going to be having another 2 laps of the inside being prevalent and having a shot, but you're already seeing it, Alex. They're losing ground, going backwards. Shout out to David Westergreen and Michael Goodman. Both drivers, 9th and 10, they've cracked the top 10.
Wow, and you saw Johnny Thomas there able to use that inside line for just that 2-lap advantage that it did have, to take it all the way to the point, and he's brought along Jacob Adams in that 25 car. Harrison Talon doing a great job in 3rd place there, the highest we've seen that 23 car all season. Looking for a way around these front 2. They are double wide as Tate Lytle finds himself in a world full of hurt on the inside line. Nobody is with him in the 64 car trying to migrate back up to the top, but that hole is filled by the 83.
Yeah, I mean, everyone's trying to pick and choose where they want to go. It's really only our top 3 that are single filed out. Everywhere else, you got to pick and hope that the lane that you're in is moving, and it's going to be the outside lane most likely. So you want to make sure you're the furthest car ahead on the outside, and you're going to be in a pretty good spot. But if you're on the inside, you're really risking any potential shot of making a move forward because you're losing ground, and it's Tate Lytle, Andrew Rucker, 2 drivers that were up front battling for the lead at one moment, now just hoping to stay inside of the top 5.
It's like that freeway lane here. Your exit's coming up. You're desperately trying to get over, but nobody will let you in. That's exactly what the 56 and the 64 car are feeling as they find themselves there backing up on that inside line there. We're fighting for the top position. They're now all the way back to 5th place, make it 6th, as now Trey Holmes has been able to cover the spot, and he's bringing along David Westergreen and that bright pink 12 car with him.
Hey, we've seen pink on a lot of these drivers here tonight. It's October, breast cancer awareness. That's why you're seeing a lot of pink out there. As you saw Chad Frankfield with his pink machine, he's now back in 20th trying to recover for himself. But David Westergreen, this 12 machine, started all the way back in 25th position, now up to 6th and trying to crack the top 5 if possible. But he's got to be careful. Tate Lytle also getting aggressive and loose attitude.
I think Tate Lytle's a little bit in desperate mode right now, desperately trying to get underneath. He's looking in his rearview mirror. There's no one behind him. That's normally a good feeling if you were leading, but that is not the case. And now our stage 1 winner, they're desperately flirting with being outside of the top 10. Chris right now behind him is passing him.
But it's okay, Tate Lytle. Remember, he waited until the final 5 laps of stage 1. That's when he got aggressive, started moving forward. He can be patient, let everyone else race hard, and he'll slowly make the charge forward.
However, they got to cross over what I consider to be the danger zone. That is lap 15 onward there, where we typically see handling issues show their ugly head, and he is definitely in the eye of the storm. Look at this, almost 3 wide, as he now gets into that outside lane. Tate Lytle was battling for the lead when we started this race. He is now back in the 8th position.
We hit halfway, and things are changing and certainly moving as drivers getting loose. Watch out, as I believe that was the 5 of Alec Balvance that got extremely loose and faded back, but held on. As a lot of drivers, you got to be careful because we are now in that danger zone period where the cars are getting loose, and with how jam-packed they are, another big one could strike for our top 15.
Top 2 trying to get away right now. That's Jacob Adams and Johnny Thomas. They put considerable amount of daylight there, about 5 car lengths in front of the 23 of Harrison Tyler 40 in that 40 car, trying to make his way and crack the top 3 for the first time in over 3 weeks. And Matthew Weeks, he was involved in one of the bigger issues we had lap, I believe it was 31, that big crash that we saw with Chad Frankenfield there. He's been able to rebound there all the way up to the 5th position in that 11.
Matthew Weeks, a driver that I got to cover a lot during the 2021 A season for the Truck Series on Sunday nights. It was amazing to see how talented Matthew Weeks was in the Truck Series, and it was whenever we got to these bigger tracks, you got to see Matthew Weeks be methodical, but also aggressive at times, using the bumper, willing to move drivers out of the way. We already saw that early, Alex, in those first 40 laps, drivers willing to bump and run drivers in the entry of the corners. We might have to see that if you want a shot to win here tonight. But right now, it has been a complete swap of the drivers that are up front. I mean, Johnny Thomas, after the first caution of the day, he was up front. He was leading. But everyone else, they ought to be wondering, how do we get back up front?
You saw the 23 car lose to the race car just a little bit. And unfortunately, he's going to lose third, fourth, fifth, and perhaps sixth when it's all said and done, as he finds himself in no man's land on the inside lane. No drafting help.
Yeah, we noted on what was going to happen to Tate Lytle. Could he get cracked back into the top 5? Just did it. Andrew Rucker following behind. And it's going to be the patience. Let the drivers ahead of you get loose, make mistakes. As behind, going to be mistakes thrown. It's that of Joshua Personette.
He, for the second time today, is going to try and get a hot dog from a fan on that infield, but he gathers it up. Wow, that 78 car there, nicely done. Does that not tell you how on edge these race cars are here?
Yeah, and we're inside of that danger zone, like we noted on it. We're about 5 laps here, probably for the next 3 laps. These drivers got to be concerned. This is around the time of drivers that were too aggressive early on. They built up too much heat on the right side of their tires, and now they're going to be seeing who could be pushing forward. Speaking of pushing forward, Tate Lytle, he wants to get up to third, trying to make the pass on that of Tyler Fode. He's clear. He's going to kind of try to come up, slide up, and here comes possibly the crossover move from Fode.
That's this Toyota right now inside the top 5 as the 56 car able to get up to third position there, and he is just stalking, I believe, both the 25 and the 91. We know a playoff point is on the line, and that's exactly when that 56 car decides to show up.
And, I'm looking at a lot of these drivers currently and where they're running. I mean, this is drivers need to be making the move forward and put yourself in a position to be inside of the top 10 if you want a shot to, get the stage points, as well as you're also hoping that if this race continues to stay green, because there's going to be no yellow at that stage break, it was the top 10 that really pulled away from most of the field when we had that long green flag run.
Yeah, that's actually very important to note there. Setting yourself up, I know we were talking about stage breaks, but we're still, without this actually bringing out a stage caution, need to treat this as if this thing could go green toward the end, and so you don't want to be left behind and find yourself outside of this lead draft there if things do go green, perhaps toward the end.
I'm looking at some of the front ends of these drivers and where they're running. I'm looking at the front end of the 40 of Tyler Fode. There is some front end damage for sure on this machine. Oh no!
Car able to gather it back up there, already has damage. Don't know who that was.
It was Alexander Van de Sant, it looks like, in the 97. No hood on the 97 machine, but still running as hard as he can. And that's one of the biggest surprises, is that with this next-gen car, yes, aerodynamics so important, but there's certain hits that you can take and still be pretty quick in the traffic.
Yeah, and we actually saw that with the 40 car. Tyler Fode back at Darlington there didn't have a hood in his at all. Was able to get that fixed there and was able to drive up through the field and get the win, or what was left of the field. If I remember correctly, every car had damage. During that was our last full length race, so we know that 40 car can go the distance. Johnny Thomas, who won our other full length race, the Daytona 500, also inside the top 3 right now. A guy who has not won a full length race but is inside stalking our leader is that 56 car there, and he could perhaps be our first repeat winner of the season.
I mean, that's incredible to think. This is our 10th race of the season for this 2021 B season, and 9 races, 9 different drivers. You don't really get to see that very often, and drivers certainly are hoping to gain as many positions as possible and wanting to make sure they've got as many, with a win in your in system. That's a lot of positions point-wise that you can't really grab for yourself.
Yeah, right now, the first guy inside our top 10, actually, that has not won, would be Andrew Rucker in that 64 car. Madison Weeks still looking for his first win. Jacob Adams, Harrison Talon. So a lot of these guys, actually, between Fody and Chris Wright, they have yet to find victory lane. Chris Wright obviously won at Phoenix, and then Nick Massey his win at Loudon as well inside the top 10.
That's right now, looking at the field, top 20 still on the lead lap, but if we continue to stay green, Chad Frankenfield going to be the next driver that's going to be under fire of going a lap down as we see the drivers up front. They're starting to understand it's time to go. They're going to be forcing the issue. 3 wide once again for fourth.
Matthew Weeks threading the needle right there between the 25 of Jacob Adams and the 64 of Andrew Rucker. Still 3 wide at the end of the corner. This is the battle for 5th, and don't look too far ahead, but just in front of these guys, as we got a car loose, Harrison Talon hangs on. Right in front of David from Western Green, Nick Massey evasive action to try and avoid what would have been a spinning 23 car. Thankfully, it wasn't.
Talon hold on, and how did Adams hold on? Both drivers getting extremely loose in front of the field, and it could have been Big Rex, but they stay straight, we stay green, and right now, Alex, the time's running out. The drivers need to be up front to maximize their points.
And just as what we saw with stage 1, this is going to end. Oh, Harrison Talon doesn't get lucky this time. He bounces it hard, and 3 other competitors are with him. That time, David Western Green got a piece of the action. Another car, Trey Holmes, goes spinning. Caution.
Holmes, Personette, as well as Michael Goodman, all scattered there. But it's going to be the contact of the 83 and also seeing the 18 is going to officially bring out the yellow. And with the timing of this yellow, it's going to be questionable if they're going to count it right at lap 160 or if they're going to count this caution.
We might go green as we see the 44 have nowhere to go there. Ooh, major damage. And then the 18 just gets into Trey Holmes, who thankfully, I think he just went for a spin right there. Don't know if there was a lot of damage. There will be some heavy damage, though, for the 23 and the 12. He knocked that wall down pretty hard right there as he tried to correct it the 3rd time with the charm, and he and the 12 hard into the outside wall on the backstretch.
I mean, we saw Harrison Talon. He's been doing his best to hold on, but that 23 has been out of control all race long, and you got to be feeling for that of Western Green. I mean, David's done a great job to put himself inside of the top 10, and in a blink of an eye, his shot of a great finish is now snuffed out, and he's got to hope that the damage, yes, there is a lot, but it's not going to take up too much time to repair all of it.
And even with damage being able to be fixed right here, does the car ever drive the same as it was without any damage there, Sam?
I mean, absolutely not. There's most times when you get damage, you are just hoping that sometimes if you get knocked on the right side, it actually can start to help tighten up the car and actually might be able to help you out. But with the way that these cars have been feeling and how aerodynamically important each and every fender is on these cars, if you've got any type of side damage, rear end or front end damage, most likely you have the speed to stay with the pack, but you're not going to have enough aerodynamics to your car to make the passes to move forward unless someone makes a mistake. So for that, you know, if David Westergreen and some of the other drivers that were involved, you're now banking on just surviving, hoping that your engine doesn't blow up and that other drivers make mistakes so you can gain positions.
So you're seeing lap traffic go down pit road. The lead was able to be changed on pit road there. Tate Lytle, it's the faster pit stop in front of the 91 of Johnny Thomas. So he will have a great chance to defend stage 1. As we should restart there with 3 laps to go, perhaps 2 laps to go in stage 2. So it should be a quite the shootout here. The best these tires will be for the stage win.
Yeah, we're going to have to wait and see. If the lights go out now, we would be put in a situation where it could be a 2-lap shootout. But if they don't go out this time, it could be turned into a 1-lap shootout as we're still waiting for all the drivers to catch back up to our lead pack group. As with the timing of this caution, you know, keeping that of Chad Frankenfield still on the lead lap because he was in threat up, honestly, right before we were going to end stage 2. The 15 was going to go a lap down for himself, stays on the lead lap, and also that of Jared Rexing, going to be getting the lucky dog position for the 10, who, man, what a day it's been for the 10 of Jared Rexing, who's still out there on track, currently in 18th.
Yeah, definitely not been the day he would have liked, but trying to salvage something of a day that has gone wrong for himself and actually a lot of other competitors there with a lot of damage on their race car. We should get the 1 to go signal right here. We do. So that will give us 2 laps to go. Who do you like as we see Tate Lytle pick the outside lane for this restart?
Well, I can Tate. I think he's in a very good spot. Tate Lytle on the 56 on the outside, and that's going to be the more preferred lane. Even if, you know, Johnny Thomas gets a great launch and stays side by side at the start of this, you know, into turn 1, it's at a turn 2 where Tate Lytle is going to be an advantage. So for Tate, even if he gets a great launch and pulls away from the other drivers, he's in a preferred lane. And if he's stuck side by side, he's going to have the better launch out of turn 2. So I like where Tate Lytle's at to defend and get another stage victory.
We have seen some dramatic side-by-side finishes here. You cannot go to Atlanta and not talk about some of the greatest finishes ever in NASCAR history. In 2000, it was Bobby Labonte and Dale Earnhardt beating a bang into the checkered flag. 2001, Jeff Gordon and Kevin Harvick. And in 2005, Jimmy Johnson and Carl Edwards. So Atlanta, no stranger to seeing photo finishes here for the win. Perhaps we'll see one here for the stage win. The virtual pace car is in, and Tate Lytle has to hang on for 3 miles to get another playoff point. Green flag is back out. We're underway once again at Atlanta.
We saw Tate, fabulous launch for himself, not going to drop down low, not giving the draft advantage to the 11 of Matthew Weeks. Weeks, we've seen him be aggressive. We'll see how aggressive he wants to get by Johnny Thomas. And if Weeks can make this pass going in turn number 3, who knows? Will Tate Lytle be able to defend as you see the 56 kind of doing an Indianapolis, snaking on the backstretch, not trying to get advantage to either lane.
Teammates now running 1-2 as Matthew Weeks has been able to clear Johnny Thomas. He'll cut to the inside. The 56 car has 1 lap to go to try to make it back-to-back staged wins here at Atlanta. The 40 car, Tyler 40 into the mix as well.
Tyler Bodie, though, has that front-end damage. That is going to be hindering the 40 machine once he gets up front and trying to make passes for himself. But when he's in the draft, it's going well for himself as drivers ducking low, going backwards. That's Corey Abbott in the 21. But up front, it's Tate Lytle holding off.
You saw the 56 car there do a block on the 11, his teammate. That's going to ensure that he gets all playoff points as Tate Lytle gets it done once again. Stage 2 winner here at Atlanta.
And look at some of the drivers that are getting those stage points. Tyler Fode, massive 3rd place running when the stage came to an end. But like we noted on, no yellow will be thrown for the end of stage 2. And Alex, we get to race it to the end.
Yes, we are under 100 to go here. Just crossed over the centennial mark to get to the end. And right now, the 11 car wants to make sure that he's in prime position to make it there. He'll lead for the first time today. They were nose to nose at the start-finish line right there, but the 11 had it by an inch over his teammate there. Down Johnny Thomas fighting hard on the inside. These guys were nose to tail last time on the last restart there. They found themselves backing up. What will happen as we see about an 11-car breakaway at the front of the field? These are the cars with the least amount of damage so far.
We talked about Atlanta, all the different factors of super speedway racing. Well, how about this one? Tandem drafting with Johnny Thomas helping out Tate Lytle there to make that pass work on the inside. And that was probably the only lap, and probably this next one where the inside lane is going to be preferred to be if you got a driver maximizing the draft, but yellow in the back.
Yes, 6-1 of the ninth there. Caution flag is back out. These guys were just on pit road, so I don't expect... Oh, it's going to be Jared Rexing, perhaps? Oh, somebody in front of him, and Chad Frankenfield. This one is going to knock Rexing out of it.
See the smoke that's piling out of the engine. His engine is gone.
An issue for the 32 car. Don't know exactly what set him wide, but Dustin Dewar
was, I mean, he was being shoved around by Jared Rexing. Rexing in the 10 was just pushing him through the front stretch. And
ooh, they all touched. They were suddenly 3 wide right there. Yeah, So Rexing going to be out. That was our outside pole setter. And then the 32 car, he limps it back onto pit road. But heavy damage. And then, of course, the 15 we just documented had just gotten back on the lead lap there, continuing to find troubles here early, or actually now late in this one.
Yeah, and we've already had a lot of drivers being DNF'd out of this race. A total of 8 so far have had to conclude. I mean, the most recent one being Colin Fern, Josh Robin, and Trey Holmes going to be those 3 that have currently DNF'd, and you might be able to throw in that of Rexing into the mix with his engine being blown as pit road's busy here, Alex. Hey, this is the time to gain some positions if possible here.
Yeah, are we interesting to see what these guys actually take? I did expect them on pit road since we only had about 5 laps in, but we were within 100 laps to go in this race, so we documented they had 12 sets of tires. These guys, perhaps they're just putting on, making sure that their car handles the best. We see, though, Trey Holmes out front, or actually Joshua Personette and Chad Frankenfield. Chad, who was just involved in that crash, not going down pit road. Interesting.
Very interesting to see. I think for both that of Personette as well for Chad Frankenfield, both we've seen this on almost every single caution in yellow where a driver decides to stay out, try to get a lap lead point, and then come into pit road the next lap to get service done. I think hey, we're already going to be going to the back. We'll just go there now as officially Rexing has parked it for the day.
Unfortunate for our outside pole setter there, watching to see the 18 ducks in. He does. He'll bring along the 41 car. There is the 99 of Brandon Key. However, Chad Frankenfield, he does stay out.
This is such an interesting call from Chad Frankenfield.
Being involved in that crash, he must have not felt like he had a lot of damage there. But we've just not seen the pace in that 15 car there, but perhaps we haven't seen it out front there. Perhaps he just needs some track position to overcome. Always one for a gutsy call there, that 15.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, if we you can see there, though, that 15 is scraped up, mashed in. That is not a pristine-looking vehicle. And, you know, Chad Frankenfield, he's going to be on 8-lap older tires than the rest of the field. Yes, it was only about green flag, about 5 laps of green flag racing that we got to see on these tires that Chad Frankenfield's on, but he also was sliding, which is causing more wear, and also the 15 machine, the heavy damage, going to be something to be a little concerned about for himself, but he's currently going to be looking like he's staying out there.
As a competitor there, how concerned are you seeing that leading you to green?
Oh, hey, whoever's behind Frankenfield, that whole entire lane is concerned because there's always the potential shot of wheel spin because he's on slightly older tires, but wheel spin is always going to be a factor for these drivers. And also because of how heavily damaged he is on the entry of turn 1 and through the whole entire first 2 corners, it is going to be dangerous on how the 15 is going to be so slow compared to everyone else. And he's choosing the inside lane. I don't know how I feel about the inside lane. That is not giving a lot of space for the 15 to get out of the way, but hey, Chad's going to be trying something different here. And for Tate Lytle and everyone else following the 56, they've got to be careful and all have to be in line and in the same notion of we cannot run each other over here with how slow the 15 is going to be.
Don't know what the strategy call was on the 83 of Trey Holmes. I believe he may have taken only 2 tires there in order to get the lead as well. Again, only older tires by about 5 green flag laps, but that is significant, especially at Atlanta, and that doesn't matter if we're in the next gen car, the current gen car, 10 years ago, present tense, 15 years ago, that's always been the case. Tires, you start losing grip. I heard Larry Mack say you start losing time on tires there on the pace laps.
Oh yeah, you even if you're just pacing around for 20 laps, you're still doing a little bit of wear and tear to them. But especially here at Atlanta, with how fast these guys are running, you're wearing them down just 2 laps.
All right, well, the field is going to say a prayer. The 15 of Chad Frankenfield, he gets on the gas. He's able to get away, taking the field by surprise, but will that be enough as the 11 gives a big shove to the 83?
Oh no, they're jamming up, and they're going to be go 4 wide here potentially, but Holmes into the wall.
Holmes, who was in position to try and lead his first ever lap in the Elite Racing Series. Not going to get it done here today as Tate Lytle brings along his teammate, Johnny Thomas, and we see the 15 car. I think the 15 had committed to go into the outside lane, but unfortunately the 83 car was there. It just could not get out of the way. Up front, teammates battling. The 11 of Matthew Weeks to the inside, taking the lead away from the 56.
Jones is willing to get aggressive, get around the back bumper of these other drivers, and he wants to be up front, and that's where Matthew Weeks is. Tate Lytle now going to be ducking it low into turn number 3.
Wow, he'll try to take the lead on the inside line. So far, we've seen the inside work on a restart for about the 3 to 5 laps. It's been about even playing field for these guys, no matter what lane they choose, but it will eventually migrate to the high side, and if you don't want to be the last car to get there, or you find yourself quickly going to the back there. The 56 car still using the inside line as Matthew Weeks finds himself behind him and Johnny Thomas in third.
Yeah, Tate Lytle, he can use this inside lane again for another 2 laps, and then he's got to migrate just up about half a groove each and every 2 to 3 laps after that marker. So for the 56 of Tate Lytle, he's still in the good, but he's got to be careful of the drivers behind because he saw Johnny Thomas. He's getting around the back bumper, and it's starting to accordion on the outside with all the beating and banging, and now there's going to be 3 wide for fifth.
All gave him a shove as we see the 20 car there, the meat in that sandwich, as Jacob Adams on the inside there trying to get 2 for 1. It won't work out for him as now cars go to the high lane, and Chris Wright able to get into the outside lane as well. Matthew Weeks, though, has been able to get the lead away from his teammate, and he's brought along Johnny Thomas with him.
Yeah, Johnny Thomas, he has been the driver to have behind you. You know, when we talk about super speedway racing, there's drivers that are lead cars, there are drivers that are pushers, but we're mile and a half racing here with these next-gen cars, and if anything, Johnny Thomas might be the best pusher out here. He has been getting every single driver that he's behind up front, leading the race. Now we got to get to see, can the 91 machine make the pass on the 11 to get up front?
Single file, the front 5 on that outside lane, the 56 car. Not really truly a cause for concern on that inside line. We've seen him do this before and has worked his way through the field. I, in fact, think he might have the best handling car here tonight. You've seen him just really calculate moves as he once again slides his way into the outside lane and over Jacob Adams, and he's once again solidly inside the top 6.
Yeah, and I think for Tate Lytle, the biggest thing for the 56 team is he's figured out the patience, and in that first stint, learned where he needs to be for the late stage of the race. When we get in those final 15 laps, where do I want to be placing myself? And also recognizing, hey, in these first 6 laps, I can be aggressive, I can be quick, but then I need to back off as Chris Wright wants to get up front. Here comes the 20 on the inside.
Johnny Thomas actually nicked the wall on the exit of turn 2 right there that allowed that big run we saw from the 20 car of Chris Wright to get to the point and challenge. Now he cuts to the left there to the inside of Matthew Weeks, and now Chris Wright looking for the lead in return 1. They're side by side, the front 4, as the 20 car rockets out to the corner.
And what did I say? Johnny Thomas, that's the car you want to have behind you. Was behind, gave the draft to help through the corner, and it's Chris Wright up front. But now it's all up to Wright. Does Wright have the defensive move on the inside? We've been green for about 5 laps on these tires. Now we're going to be starting to see the outside lane start to prevail. Each and every lap, more drivers going to move up to the high line. And if you're stuck on the bottom in about 5 to 6 laps, that loose sensation is going to kick up. And watch out, as we've seen a lot from the 25 of Jacob Adams when he's on the inside. In the next 3 to 4 laps, could be a driver getting loose, or behind him. There they go.
Someone has pounded the inside wall and has knocked it down. Is that Joshua Personette for the 3rd time today? It is the 78 car, and this time he did find the inside wall hard out of turn 2. Or excuse me, no. Was that the 18? Yes, the 18. Yes, I'm sorry.
Yeah, that was Joshua Personette, the 18, who hit the wall, and he has had the roughest day today. He's been kind of the driver making a lot of cautions coming out, and also having a lot of loose sensations kicking up for himself. As we look back up front, seeing all the drivers and where they lie, it's still going to be Nick Massey now going to be moving up, leaving Adams on the inside all on his lonesome for the 25 machine, as everyone else, they've already moved up to the high line.
And still a little bit of a cause for concern for that 48 car. I've seen him blipping there just outside of my screen. just ever so much. So that's an issue that has not really righted itself throughout the entire race. And he has stage 1 and stage 2 winner there underneath him. I think that's Tate Lytle trying to do all he can to clear, make sure that blipping 48 car is behind him rather than in front of him. He'll do so on the backstretch.
Yeah, I mean, look at some of the drivers that qualified well in this race. That from Johnny Thomas, who's in 3rd, qualified in 6th. Tate Lytle qualified in 8th. Nick Massey in 4th. Everyone else in the top 10 qualified outside of the top 10. And about 4 of the drivers qualified outside of the top 20. So already showing, hey, even if you were further back, the patience is kicked in, and you've got a shot to win this race.
Yeah, and check out, of these cars inside of our top 10, a car that I think has been damaged is that 40 car, Tyler 40. I'm impressed with how high that splitter is, at least seen. I don't know if the visual damage we see on our screen, if it really truly translates to the damage that we see that could affect the race car as you're actually, racing on the track. But that, to me, would put all the downforce, all the everything that would slow it down, that really has the benefit of actually another car in front of him. I don't know how well that car would be out front if it was by itself, but he's been able to overcome that damage here because there is a lot of it on the front end of that 40 car.
Yeah, I mean, you touched on it, though. With the fact of having a car in front of you is helping out even with that damage, and that's what Tyler Fode's been doing all race since he's gotten this front-end damage, is just stay behind someone else. He has not shown any signs of wanting to be a lead driver at all, of going to the inside or the outside. It's always move up, stay behind someone, and hope that that car starts moving forward. I think right now for Tyler Fode, it's get a top 5 finish. That is the goal for this 40 team, unless there's a wreck that happens that gives him a shot to get a win.
The Andrew Rucker there falling back from this aerial shot, presented to you by C2 Freight. Tyler 40 still inside the top 5 as the field a little bit of an accordion effect. And wow, they actually had to get out of the gas. The draft working so strong. In that shot, I believe cars actually went to the inside to avoid piling into one another in turn 1.
And when you see an accordion effect, you got to go where the other drivers aren't, and that's exactly what Jacob Adams did, and they tried to move up a couple of more positions, but the only downside is when everyone's accordioning on the outside, and that's the more preferred lane, is once they get going again, you're stuck on the inside, and there's no places to go. Luckily for Adams, he's got Rucker behind him, trying to utilize the draft to move forward, and they've also got a new face who was caught up in a wreck earlier, but still running well. The 5, that of Alec Balvance, starting to make his move forward.
Yeah, look at the whole right side of that car there, if you can. Where the 5 should be has been scraped. He has definitely found the outside wall numerous times, and is yet still has a car to compete inside the top 10. Alec Balvance doing a great job there in that 5 machine. And another competitor that's also had an issue there earlier, got caught up with the 12 car, David Westergreen. There is the 23 of Harrison Talon. He is still inside the top 10.
Yeah, and they're now going to be passing and putting down for the 13th lap down. That of Gerald Campbell. Campbell, who qualified so well, got the pole position. Now just limping around and hoping to get his top 20 finish, currently in 23rd, 13 laps down, and banking on someone else to have fatal issues to where he can gain spots.
Yeah, and well, judging by how this race has gone, we've had 6 caution flags, and I believe 7 or 8 cars out of the race. That is not so far-fetched. I don't think we're done seeing the yellow flag as of late, as we see cars still get loose out of turn 2. That has been a trouble spot all day long. Let's talk about some race strategy here for the end. These guys went back green on lap 175. We understand a fuel window here is 65 laps, so that means these guys will all have to make 1 green flag pit stop. The question is, when do you decide to do it? Do you decide to split this final stage in half? Do you use all of your fuel window and have the freshest tires to your advantage to the end of the race? What would you do, Sam?
I mean, I think for a lot of these drivers, I think splitting it in half would be the prime way to go with this pit stop. So looking for a lot of these drivers to be looking around that lap 210 to 220 marker for a lot of these drivers. If they were going to stretch out their fuel as long as they can go, that's going to be around 235 to about 238 is going to be the window for those drivers. But at the same time, Alex, the window opens up officially where you can take it from that point to the end once we get to lap 195. So a lot of these drivers, they're coming up to when the window will open up, and we saw drivers that pitted earlier had a much greater advantage because of the tire wear advantage that you get, as well as, you know, getting through the gears quicker and gaining time on the drivers that continue to stay out. I think if a driver stays out as long as possible, they're putting themselves in a spot where they will not be able to gain enough time. Hopefully Tate Lytle has learned from that, because the last time we had a green flag pit stop, it was the 56 that stayed out the longest of our front four and dropped all the way back to 6th place, 6.5 seconds back, and never truly had a chance to gain back up in that time. Luckily a yellow came out, but hey, they're still hard racing. Who knows? We might get a yellow that puts us in a spot where they can race it to the end.
Yeah, that's important to note, though. And also have a drafting partner with you as well. You think these guys, though, I know they talk in a Discord channel for the team guys there, but perhaps you're one of these cars that doesn't have a teammate inside the top 10. How do you, as we see one competitor taking the Joshua Persinet line, he gathers it up. Behind that, I don't know who that was, but back to what I was saying there. As a competitor that does not perhaps have a teammate up inside the top 10, how do you negotiate with these guys that are pitting, especially if you're not even in the same Discord channel?
Yeah, I mean, some of these drivers are in the same Discord channel. Others have actually made alliances, and in iRacing itself, you actually can switch to those different channels and talk to those different teams. So there's a possible chance that if you're in an alliance with some of these drivers up front, just team up with one to two other guys that you're around, or even just in public chat, say, hey, I'm coming in pit road at this time. Whoever wants to join me, join me. Otherwise, I'm by myself, because there have to be gutsy calls that you have to make like that. If you want to win here at Atlanta with the way that this aero package works, you got to be the gutsy driver that might have to be one of the first cars to come into pit road for a shot to win here tonight. But at the same time, it comes with a risk. If you're one of the first cars coming to pit road, you're going to be one of the first drivers to be a lap down, and if yellow comes out, you can be trapped to get lapped down.
So right now, the top 12 cars on track, all the way down to, I believe that is Alexander Van de Sant in the 97ers, the tail end of this pack. But most of the field is single file, and the fuel window will open up here in a matter of 3 laps. We will take this point in the action to just go for a quick break, perhaps the last one of the night, to bring you both those green flag pit stops and the checkered flag coming up. And if trouble breaks out, we will of course break in, so don't go anywhere. You're watching the Elite Racing Network here on YouTube. Welcome back to Atlanta. You saw all the action during that non-stop portion of the race. Right now, Chris Wright continuing to lead, but the back half of this field, not as single filed as what we saw when we first left you there on that last, before that commercial break. Right now, Chris Wright has the lead. Matthew Weeks and Tyler Fody, though, have been discussing second place. And during that portion, we saw Johnny Thomas, the 91 car, with a big slide. He has fallen all the way back to 7th place.
Yeah, and for a lot of these drivers, those little slides that just continue to grow to get bigger and bigger each and every time you come around the corner, you got to be concerned. Hey, is my car going to have the grip, or is it going to just get worse each lap? And that's what these drivers are working on each and every corner, as up front still is Chris Wright, Matthew Weeks. But Alex, we are now inside of the fuel window if drivers decide to come into pit road, but that decision is going to be really tough on when you want to come in because of the risk of a late yellow coming out.
And we are definitely not in the clear yet. I would have Larry Mack try to calculate our patterns and trends, but considering this is a next-gen car on Atlanta's surface, we really don't have any patterns and trends to share with you because we've not seen it done. This is all very much in real time. These drivers trying to figure it out as they go along as well. So working lap 200 going to be in the book right here, though seems to be doing everything right so far.
Yeah, so far it has been amazing racing. 200 laps in the book, like you noted, as all these drivers, the third longest race, mile distance-wise, of the whole entire season here at Atlanta, and it has been a good one, Alex, as really the question of who's going to make the move has been up in the air, but this is the first time we've really seen our leader be this far ahead of everyone else. Chris Wright, Matthew Weeks, they're kind of have a little bit of a bubble between the other, drivers that are in this front pack.
The wonder, is that by design, though, there, Sam? Are these guys letting him perhaps chew up his tires just a little bit? Are they trying to save a little bit more currently as they negotiate around lap traffic? That's Dallas Myhan in that wounded 41 car that everyone has to try and find a way around. But you're right, Chris Wright does have a particularly big lead, about 5 car lengths in front of that 11 car, and they are side by side for third, meaning they are losing time to these front two.
Yeah, losing time. Tyler Fody, Johnny Thomas both trying to give the really of a bump insurance to try to move forward. But man, Chris Wright, we really haven't talked about this 20 in the first half at all. There's a lot of these drivers that we haven't talked about that much in the first half, and everything has really changed a lot. Some of our top competitors got into the wall, got other damage that has put them further back, but there's still, a collection of drivers such as that of Andrew Rucker, Johnny Thomas, Tate Lytle, as well as Jacob Adams. Those 4 drivers have been up front all race long, but certainly for Chris Wright, he has done a great job just slowly, methodically moving forward. Same for Matthew Weeks, and also many others, as we've noted on before and multiple times, that of Tyler Fody, dealing with front-end damage, but still looking to try to get a top 5 finish for this 40 machine.
Yeah, and the question that's on everyone's mind is, when we have that green flag pit stop there, will you be taking fuel and tires with somebody around you? When do you decide to go down? And does somebody's first move on pit road bring everyone in?
I'm imagining it will be from our front, drivers that are all here, which is our front 11, are all still in this pack, collected with one another. Yes, there's only about 8 of the drivers that look like they're raceable to try to get a victory here, but 11 drivers in line, which, hey, whenever you see one of these top 11 coming to pit road, expect many others to come in lap after lap after that, and maybe just a 1 or 2 going to be stretching it all the way out to probably that of lap 135. That is the furthest a lot of these drivers can even go. And I'm expecting at least 1 or 2 of our top 11 to try to force it to that length, just to make sure if there's a caution that comes out, they're in a prime spot to try to be the leader when that yellow comes out.
Lap traffic ahead once again. That is Brandon Key in that 99 car. See, actually a little bit of damage on our leader right there now that I'm noticing there. Similar to what we saw with Tyler Fody. The front end also nosed up just a little bit. these guys have to work around lap traffic, which has unfortunately played a much bigger role than what I would expect during some of the races that we've had from the Elite Racing Network. Here comes the 11 of Matthew Weeks, so taking a look underneath. Weeks is still one of those drivers. He is the highest in the chase standings without a win. Still has yet to visit victory lane here.
I mean, Matthew Weeks, if anything, just having a solid points day, a top 10, top 5 finish would be amazing for this 11 team that could practically lock himself up points-wise by just showing up next week and would not even have to race, could do a start and park and could make it into the playoffs, but it's all about having a good run here tonight for the 11. But what pressure that would be off Alex for getting a win. The win in your in system, that just takes so much pressure off. But these drivers, they're getting a little bit of a sneak peek of what they're going to have to deal with going into next week. Kansas is going to be the last race of the regular season.
Only a mile-and-a-half racetrack. Similar to this, but you only have half the time that will go back to the regular half distance that we usually have if you see another blip out of the 48 car. Want to talk, speaking of points and having a good run, that 40 car is having a good point. And I think I didn't speak earlier there. He does have a win, but he is significantly outside of the chase standings. In fact, I don't know with that suspension that he did have, it may have stripped him of that win as well. So he is in need of some great points both tonight and tomorrow night. That 40 car cannot afford to have a mistake.
Yeah, Tyler Fody coming into the night 42 points out from where he needs to be to point his way with that, I believe, with the win on top of that to even make it into the playoffs. So there's still a lot of work for that of Tyler Fody, but hey, fourth place running, and he's been just lingering in the top 5 for most of this race since he's moved up in the top 10. Hey, this is where he needs to be for this run. But Alex, the pit road is getting a little bit busy. We're expecting pit road to get extremely busy here. Pit road, these next 20 laps, we're now halfway through this stint where we were thinking, hey, this might be the time to split it in half. Well, drivers might be thinking about pushing it out an extra 20 to 25 laps, but we are now in the entry. Expect pit road to get busy here at any moment.
I think everybody's like, you show me your hand before I show you mine as far as trying to get onto pit road right now. I don't know if necessarily guys want to be the first driver, because even if you are the first one to go down pit road, you are going to be the first one to abuse your tires. Even though you'll have the newest rubber, you'll find yourself on the oldest tires by the time the race ends. And I think that's a deciding factor for a lot of these guys. I think that's why we don't see a mad dash onto pit road right now, even if we see these guys split the stage in half.
Also, we're starting to get into that time of a stint. We're now 47 laps on this run, and I gotta say, for that of Tate Lytle, he's starting to make that resurgence to the front, just like he's done for practically every single run we've had. I do want to give note that we do have, some drivers that were wrecked out earlier tried to come back, see how much damage had been repaired. Some drivers just felt like it wasn't worth it. Officially, we noted on David Hooker being out of the race. He came back, thought, hey, might try to run a couple of laps. Wasn't really worth it for the 19 team and has officially DNF'd. But on track currently, looking at the drivers that are on the lead lap, 18 drivers on the lead lap, with that of David Westergreen going to be the first of those. But up front, Alex, it's still, we're seeing our front 8 all in line now. And this is kind of what we saw in that first long green flag run that brought out our first green flag pit stops.
Yeah, and as you mentioned there, Tate Lytle doing a great job. One of those guys that was able to patiently work his way up to the point when it needed the most, and now trying to be perhaps one of the control car for these guys before they go down the road. Also note the weather. Once again, this track is now in shade. These guys have, the air temperature has now dropped down. Oh, I think it's still been 84 degrees. I'm sorry, I was looking at the humidity right there. But the track temperature has actually gone down quite significantly. It started at 128. It is now down to 90.
Yeah, it is continuing to drop down drastically, which is giving a lot more rubber to these drivers. And the strategies that Tate Lytle was doing before in that first stint where he was lingering back, not trying to utilize as much tires, well, because the track is so much cooler, it's now given a better option for these drivers to be a lot more aggressive, they're not burning off as much rubber as they would, as we're seeing lap traffic. 2 drivers, that of Gerald Campbell as well as Dustin Dorr, going to be passed by this lead pack, and always a little bit of a scary moment when you're getting by lap traffic. You really never know who's going to get loose and be an innocent victim when you're side by side.
It really is. It's so much so just this season. I mean, you go back to, I think it was Coda with David Tucker and I believe it was Colin Fern. Somebody, I think it was Colin Fern, that tried to get around lap traffic, and unfortunately they caught it the wrong way, and it totally messed up Fern is being able to get the win back at Darlington. That was also a factor as well. So just lap traffic has always taken our breath here this season. So we'll see if that plays a factor once again, as we are just shy of 50 to go.
Yeah, and lap traffic wise, I will say though, for the elite racing leagues and for us covering it, it's not a usual thing to see lap cars be influencing lead lap drivers. It's a very rarity with this league. The drivers have been always super respectful throughout the years, and they still put it out there. It is still respectful, but Alex, I think you and I both know, it is never a certainty that you can get by a lap car.
Yeah, it's never 100%, which means your heart is pounding just a little bit. Wow, they are going for it. Here comes Tate Lytle underneath Chris Wright, trying to make that pass before these guys have to go down pit road, and he'll do so. New leader, that 56 car. I think he was just biding his time before we saw him back up to the point in that Toyota Camry.
I mean, it's the same, same story for all 3 stints that we've really gotten to see from Tate Lytle. He just waits until the very last moment of a run, makes the pass, gets up front. But Alex, this is when things are going to have to shift, because we're not going to be in a very similar stint at the end of this race. It looks like, based on how these drivers are running, they want to run it until they're out of fuel, which means they're going to be pitting around 120 to 130. That's going to be their window that they're aiming for. And when they come into pit road, drivers are only going to have about 40 to 30 laps on their tires, and that has not been the window where we've seen the 56 be the fastest. We're going to have to see a little bit of urgency from Tate Lytle whenever we see these drivers coming to pit road, as they're still side by side fighting out to see what position they're going to be in, as it's battle for third currently. Fody, Weeks stuck on the inside. He's going backwards.
I believe that's exactly what, going back to the 56 car, to note of him not being perhaps particularly strong during the beginning stage of a run. That's why he felt it was important to try and get the lead, try to put as much time in front of the pack, so that the more that you're in front of these guys, that's the less time you have to make up on pit road there. I want to go back to last week as well. Tate Lytle had a mistake on pit road there. Unfortunately, was not able to overcome it. In fact, to get all the way back up to the lead, would finish second to David Tucker there at Bristol. But a mistake is something that you cannot have here for this last green flag pit stop. It will take you out of it without a yellow flag.
Yeah, we didn't note on it too much, but there were on the first green flag pit stop, there were speeding on entry where drivers had penalties that they had to serve under that time, put multiple drivers multiple laps down. But green flag pit stops are underway. Multiple drivers in the top 10 coming to pit road. Nick Massey, Michael Goodman, as well as Andrew Rucker into pit road that last lap. This lap, though, you see Harrison Talon in pit road, as well as Jacob Adams getting service done. And this is it, Alex. The time to come in. These drivers are coming into pit road. Tate Lytle, one of the first of our top 5.
Wow, he smoked him up pretty good trying to get on there. Hopefully he doesn't get a speeding penalty, as Chris Wright muscles right behind him as well. These two were the most dominant of that last green flag stint. We'll see how they fare out, as the lead has been handed to Tyler Fody in that 40 car. He's been able to lead. Another point will be added to that 40 car and his chance to make the playoff grid. Will these guys go down pit road this time? The 40 and the 11, he has to take evasive action to not avoid getting into the back, and now he actually passes the 40 car, Matthew Weeks. I don't know if there was contact, definitely a cone that got knocked out, but I think those guys were safe getting on to pit road.
I think there might have been a little bit of bumping between that of Tate Lytle, that of Matthew Weeks and Fody on entry. Fody close, and they were on top of one another. But drivers had to be careful not to be caught speeding, and somehow, pit road entry, you'll have to slow down from going about 150, 160 miles per hour down to just 50 miles per hour for pit road. A lot of these drivers able to do so, but Matthew Weeks still on pit road, caught speeding for the 11.
Well, that is going to be detrimental. We just talked about it. You cannot afford to have a mistake. So that will take him out of it there, as Alec Belvan's continuing to lead in that 5 car there. Most of our top 10 drivers have been on pit road, though, so he's losing time. He needs to bring that 5 car in if he wants a shot at it.
Well, Alex, this was another strategy I threw out. I knew someone in our top 11 was just going to stay out as long as possible. The goal here is to stay out, and because there's a couple of drivers actually going to come into pit road, but could have been a strategy. He's just going to smoke it up. That's going to be caught speeding for sure. As he's also going to go to pit road, and it just goes from bad to worse for that of Balvance.
Yeah, I don't know. These guys, unfortunately, just don't have the telemetry to know exactly what speed they are entering in, as Andrew Rucker and Nick Massey, these guys were the first onto pit road, and the lead has now been able to cycle back to them. See Alex Belvan is continuing to drop positions there.
Yeah, he got caught speeding officially. He was caught speeding. He is going to be still in pit road getting service done. And also Matthew Weeks was able to get back out on track for the 11, but is officially 1 lap down. And back in 17th position is the 11. But Alex, it's now all about running down the tandem racing, as in pit road, a lot of drivers came in 2 by 2. As now it's about, hopefully the partner you're with, they're fast enough to get you moving forward.
Yeah, Andrew Rucker and Nick Massey. Nick Massey's already been to victory lane. I think he has a lot less to lose than that 64 car who wants to visit victory lane in the worst way. They were the first ones on pit road. The only caveat to them being the leader is that they have the oldest tires. Will that play a factor for these guys, as they are nose to tail and there are more power in numbers behind them?
You know, we were talking about, under pacing, you're wearing down tires. I threw out the number 2 laps of green flag racing really can wear down your tires, and that's exactly what the difference is between that of Andrew Rucker, Nick Massey, compared to that of Chris Wright, and that of Tate Lytle, as well as Tyler Fody. They're going to be trying to work together, get moving, but really watch out. Our front 2, they got to hope they get up to speed, because they've only got a 1.5-second gap over that of Jacob Adams, Chris Wright, and Tate Lytle. And right now, looking at the telemetry, they're pulling away.
Wow, that's impressive. The question is, though, once these guys get single file, there's going to be more numbers in this second pack. They're led by Jacob Adams, and with how the draft has worked, I think those guys will be able to try and run them down once they get single file. So it'll be interesting to see, as it always is, if these guys working together now. I always talk about the co-opetition. You're working together for the greater good. These 3 need to put their differences aside and be nose to tail as much as possible in order to catch these front 2. Lap traffic also going to play a factor into the mix.
Yeah, and lap traffic, we haven't really touched on these leaders catching up to lap traffic. For that of Rucker and Nick Massey, they caught up to that of Chad Frankenfield at the worst moment. Your goal, pass the lap cars on the straightaways and not in the center of the corners. You want to already be ahead of them so you can run your line, run as fast as you can be. Well, our leaders caught up to Chad Frankenfield on the exit of turn 4, losing time and ground and giving it up. And you were hoping to keep that 1.5 of a gap. It's now down to less than a second between 2nd and 3rd. Jacob Adams, he's soon to be he's already getting a little bit of that draft help. He's about to get a little bit more, but we're also going to be now into the window of when these cars are at their loosest, Alex. You're hoping to be quick, but you're also dealing with a lot of traffic and looseness.
These guys, it's like a minefield out there. Why not just throw out a rainbow court as well there for these guys? The amount of hoops that they're being thrown at these drivers right now in order to make it toward the end. It's like crazy what these guys have got to get through, as we see a massive blip from the 48 car. I also believe that is hurting that 64 car, because I don't know how well you can draft with a car that's blipping behind you.
Yeah, the width, whenever you're seeing a driver blinking in and out, it matters on how much he's blinking. If he's completely disappearing for longer than a half a lap like he's doing right now, that is not helping the 64 all with the draft. If it's just small little blips and he's just gone for maybe about a second to 2 seconds for the whole entire lap, and then he's still there, that's still a lot of drafting that's helping the 64. But like we see, Jacob Adams, Chris Wright, they've caught up. Tate Lytle, though, in a little bit of a concern. He's about a half a second back, still close enough to have the draft, but if he does not get going, the 56 could lose touch to our top 4.
Oh, that's something that you don't want. But these guys running these guys down, going to the inside, I think that's going to allow the 56 car to try and get caught back up, as now Jacob Adams trying to wrestle the lead away from a blinking and disappearing their 48 car. And Chris Wright, they've been now able to officially join the party, and that 56 car there half a second behind.
We touched on points for a little bit here tonight, and for that, Jacob Adams comes in as the second highest of the drivers that could point his way in. But these drivers got to be concerned because Tate Lytle is caught up, and he is flying the 56, understanding it's go time. There's no more just save until the final, 20 laps of the race. He doesn't have to do that. He can just get aggressive and start moving, but still a lot of blipping and blinking going on between Nick Massey and to the server, and admins are talking to Nick Massey, and there could be a penalty give to the 48 because he's up front and blinking so much. This could be disastrous for this 48 team.
Yeah, but I don't necessarily allow this to continue there, especially with these guys that are now, they've been able to work their way. You see him actually pull to the inside. We didn't see that. He had blipped to the inside down in the backstretch right there, but that's just not going to help any of these guys. I think he's made the right call. If not, racing officials have made the call for him in order to get away and not affect this more than what he has. Unfortunately, I'd have liked to have seen what he and the 64 could have done before these guys were able to run him down. Now that 64 car on 2-lap older tires in front of a snarling pack of cars by the 20 and the 56 that have been dominant this stage of the race. He has to hang on.
I mean, right now, Tate Lytle is the fastest driver, but we also have lap traffic to worry about. We touched on it. You never know what you're going to see. The 5, watch out. Alec Balvance trying to unlap himself currently. Some of the freshest tires out on track, but now you're going to have a lot of lap traffic that's going to be influencing our front pack. And this is getting dangerous because they're also going to be worrying about that loose sensation. It's just going to build and get worse as the run goes on.
Yeah, we're right in that window, the danger zone that we've been talking about, where these cars start to get a little bit on edge after a green flag run. But the 20 has been able to work his way around. Andrew Rucker loses the lead. He tries to cut in front of the 40 car. He'll be able to protect that position there, but Chris Wright takes the lead. Here comes Tate Lytle in that 56 car, who has won everything here today except for that checkered flag, and that's less than 22 laps away from going to him as well.
And you also got to be thinking, Alex, this has been a marathon. 200 and coming up to the start of 240 laps have been ran, and these drivers have been put on a show for themselves, and they're just getting more and more experience each and every lap, but at the same time, they're feeling a little tired each lap. Maybe a little bit of a lack of focus in these final 21 laps to go. Drivers got to be concerned from this point that no one makes a mental error in these final 21 laps.
Fatigue could definitely set in here. As you had mentioned, this is only the 3rd full-length race of the season that we have had. And we've really not had the caution flags that we've seen out of the front two. Darlington was a rash of yellow fever, and Daytona, that's come to expect that toward the end of the race, but we've only had 7 yellow flags here tonight to break up these 200 in what is now 40 laps in the record books. So you're absolutely right. These guys have got to be mentally drained. They've got to hang on for another 30 more miles left here at Atlanta.
Well, the 2 drivers that we've noted on in this lead pack that have front end damage but are still running well. Now it's Tyler Fode making the move for 2nd place. And the question is always going to be for Tyler Fode from this point on. Does he have enough of a front bumper to try to make a pass for the lead, or is his car only good enough for 2nd place?
And a man that desperately needs to work his way back after serving a 3-race suspension there. Finds himself outside of the playoff grid, looking to try and get as many points as he can before he goes to Kansas. Another mile-and-a-half track that could be right in his wheelhouse. 40, trying to heat up when the time is right.
And also a note for Tyler Fody as well for that of Johnny Thomas. Both drivers have a 1-lap advantage over the rest of the field that they're racing with based off of tire wear. Now, with how long we've been racing as drivers getting loose behind, with how long this run's been going on, that advantage could be just gone and is equaled out. But we've seen the 40 as well as the 91 looking like some of the fastest cars in this group. Watch out for Johnny Thomas. He could be a late surge back in 5th place.
Yeah, he pitted behind these guys and has now been able to score himself up as they go once again around lap traffic. You see the 99 give way. The 56 car caught him on the entrance of the corner there, but he's been able to get away as well. Now the 99 is in the wall right in front of these guys. The leaders all having to check up and go around him.
And he also had the blinking Nick Massey that you didn't know where he was going to go, as that was Brandon Key into the wall, and luckily no one else made contact with each other, and they're still running. But this puts Tate Lytle in such a disadvantage. He's 4/10 ahead. You think, hey, that's great to see, but with the way that the aero package and the draft has been, this could be a disadvantage where he's too far out, and Tyler Fody can get a massive run on the back stretch here, or even the front stretch.
We'll see what happens there as we still see that 48 car just ever so much flipping there behind this pack. I don't think it's working out for Nick Massey or Andrew Rucker. Actually, Rucker has still been able, he's still solidly inside that top 4. But you're right, that is a big lead for the 56 car. However, he has had the best car of the night, so that might not be just as much of a disadvantage as we would think, considering he's been able to put that car wherever he wants it to be in dominating fashion. Tate Lytle last one at Indy. Another track that we saw the draft play a huge factor. However, it was a wreck between teammates that saw and handed him the win. We actually haven't really seen a dominant win from this 56 car. Could tonight be the night?
Man, patience has been the key for that of Tate Lytle all night long. He won stage 1 after waiting for the final 5 laps to just running in 5th. Finally made a resurgence through that field in winning stage 1 here tonight. Stage 2, he made the move with 15 laps to go into the run, and with the late yellow, with a caution, he then had to restart up front, held on, and won stage 2. And here late, he made the move even sooner with 25 laps to go. Tate Lytle put himself out front. Alex, it just seems like as the race has progressed on, Tate Lytle has recognized, hey, I can be a little bit more aggressive. Hey, maybe I can use my tires a little bit more.
Him up. He hangs on, but they go around behind him. Does that trigger the yellow? The 64 Andrew Rucker is around in turn 2, and yes, yellow flag number 8 is out. Jacob Adams can't avoid him, and we are going to have a short run to the finish line. It's never over until it's over. Look at the bump by the 64 car to the back. The 40, he hangs on, but behind him, it's Calamity in turn 2 once again.
Yeah, they all got accordion up, and it was just make a move if you can, and it looked like for that of Andrew Rucker, just got turned from Adams there, and that's what officially brought out our yellow. As we
But
go,
it was a bump from Rucker into the 40 car that brought this out. Watch, I don't know if the 40 car suddenly had a loss of momentum there in the corner. That was weird. He kind of caught him at a weird part. And then the 64 car, once he was off of him, Jacob Adams had nowhere to go. Minimal damage on both those cars, but now we are going to have, by my calculations, less than 10 laps to go to the end of this one, and it is going to be a shootout style finish here at Atlanta.
Yeah, looking like we're going to have probably 8 laps to go when we get green once again, as everyone into pit road. And with it being 8 laps, that's going to be within the zone where the inside lane is going to be a preferred spot to be. Alex, we saw the outside lane be the preferred spot, but it could be the non-preferred spot here late in the race.
That is so true. I hadn't thought about that here. That's why it is. You never tune out. Like it's never over until it's over here. So we see these guys get service complete Tate Lytle not going to make the mistake he made at Bristol 1 week ago. He'll escape with the lead in front of Chris Wright, Tyler Fode, who was able to hang on from that near deer spin and not lose any positions as far as that. Nick Massey, though, in that 48 car, we'll keep an eye on that because he has been blipping, and he will restart inside the top 5 if he doesn't get a warning from iRacing officials as well. So Tate Lytle will have the lead when we go back to green.
And Jacob Adams still in pit road getting service done. Lucky dog position. Going to go to Chad Frankenfield. So going to be leaving us with 16 drivers on the lead lap. But Alex, we look at our top 10. There are some drivers we haven't talked about at all. We keep on saying that whenever these cautions come out. Zach Evans, 6th place position. Michael Goodman has recovered and is now up to 7th. And look at in 8th place, it's the number 9 making his point to be in the top 10.
This is why you also never give up for some of these cars that we just don't talk about. The 6, the 44, the 9, even the 23. They have put themselves in prime position to make the most out of today when other competitors that are normally in front of them have had issues. Capitalize on a day where other competitors have mistakes. And that's exactly what we're seeing out of the bottom half of our top 10.
Scott Haney has a chance for a top 10 here. The 3 has just been quietly looming in the top 15 all race long. He'll now have a shot to possibly get a good finish for himself. And also looking at Matthew Weeks, the 11, got caught speeding, unlapped himself the hard way, needed a yellow to get back into the mix here, got the yellow. Not a lot of laps to really make some big moves, but Matthew Weeks back in 14th. He's going to be a driver to watch out for.
Woo. So by my calculations, 8 laps to go. Next time by, we'll have Tate Lytle and Chris Wright. What lane do you decide, or is that even a factor with considering that we are going to see both lanes become prevalent toward the end of this one?
And it's going to be so hard to choose where you want to go. I'm assuming Tate Lytle, because we're starting out with fresh tires, the inside lane is going to be where he wants to go. We've seen Tate as well as that of Adams and others show the inside lane is very quick in these first 3 laps. Honestly, up to 4 laps into this stint. The final 4 laps is when you got to be making the hard decision. Do you want to stay on the inside and risk falling backwards, or move to the outside and hope that no one else gets a good surge on the inside? This is the gambling match that you have to make for yourself. As you see Tate Lytle, he's made his decision on where he wants to go, and the field getting ready to get going.
And the great thing about him is being the control car there, he can go and immediately, right once the pace car makes that hard turn onto pit road right there. So that's going to be into his factor as well. The question is, can any of the field answer what has been a dominant performance by that 56 machine?
Oh,
all right. I know. Just 12 miles. Hold your breath. The green flag is back out. Tate Lytle hard on the loud pedal. They're side by side for a second. What will we see with 8 laps to go to settle out here in the NHPA 400?
Now, Tyler Fode already got bumped around, but he's going to be side by side with that of Chris Wright. Out of turn number 2, it's side by side for 3rd and for 5th. But up front, Tate Lytle, he's pulling away, Alex.
He's definitely been able to do exactly what we saw to end stage 2 and perhaps all night long, and that is control the lanes behind him once he's been out front. Tyler Fode, who was just involved in that last caution, trying to make sure he gets the maximum points here today, also with a shot for the lead, but Chris Wright hanging tough in that outside lane, blocked by the 56 car entering turn 1.
But here comes the inside lane. I've talked about it all night long. Johnny Thomas has been the best pusher of the night, and it's Tyler Fode who's got the 91 behind him. We'll see if Johnny Thomas can get going and get moving, but right now, it's still Tate Lytle blocking and defending on the outside.
You talked about the bump and run earlier tonight there, Sam. I believe we could see that come to fruition here by the 20 car. He looked to try and get underneath the 56 car. Couldn't get it done that time by. Here comes the 48 as well. Nick Massey has had internet issues all night long. Will that plague him now as he continues to try and get around these top 2? They're side by side behind him.
I mean, Nick Massey all night long has been told, hey, get off the track, get to the inside, you're blinking, you're too hard to handle. Well, now his shot to go for a win potentially here when he's had to be patient, wait for his internet to clear up. We haven't seen him blink just yet. We'll cross our fingers that we don't jinx it. But up front, it's Tate Lytle, and I did it. He's blinking again.
7.5 miles. That's all your internet needs to last as everyone migrates to the top lane, the front five, trying to make it amongst themselves to decide who goes to win here at Atlanta. We've already talked about the dramatic finishes we've seen in the real life circuit, but we see one play out virtually here tonight.
And we've also seen a lot of incidents up front. Our front drivers have made contact that have brought out big wrecks. Still, if we see a caution from here on out, there could be, and we will, go into overtime for these drivers. Tate Lytle, Chris Wright, and don't look now, but on the inside, it's Rusty Capel, who's trying to make a surge ball on his lonesome.
Yeah, that 9 car looking dangerously fast there on the inside line there as well. Question is, can he get anybody to help him as now most of the field has migrated to the top side?
That's
Chris
where we
Wright
knew.
is continuing to be right behind the 56 car. Is he trying to eye his spot?
He's got to be figuring out. He's got to be ducking low, figuring it out. And if you're going to see the bump, it's going to be on the entry of the corner, trying to force the driver to go to the outside and just have too much speed where they have to slow down as he's going to turn.
Tate Lytle! Lytle goes for a spin. He's off the racing track. I don't know if that won't necessarily bring out the yellow. It does. He comes to a stop on the backstretch, and yellow flag is out. Tate Lytle, the most dominant car of the night, spun off the bumper of the 20, and there was no question about it. There was contact.
Oh my goodness, we knew it was going to be a bump and run, but it was a clip and a spin. And Tate Lytle, our favorite to win here tonight, wrecked, damaged, and now heading to the back. And Alex, we now go into overtime.
Ooh, take a look at it from here, the 20 car. I don't know if that's necessarily a case. Did the 56 car try to come down as well? There's always two sides to the story right there, the 56 side and the 20 side. Maybe we can ride on board with the 20 and see what he saw. As actually, when the yellow was called, we have Nick Massey, the 48 car, is our leader.
Oh, I'm surprised he didn't get blinked out of that lead position. Nick Massey, he's got to hope that his internet issues don't get messed up as we ride on board. And oh man, that is
tough. That is tough. I don't know, because the 56 car, as the driver in this scenario, you're automatically trying your best to defend that line there, but also with how side drafting is and with 2 laps to go, you're not gonna get off the gas right there. So I want to say that really is a racing deal. 2 drivers arguing over the same piece of real estate. That is a tale as old as time.
Yeah, and also do want to let the audience remember that of Chris Wright as well as Tate Lytle, both are automatically locked into the playoffs. They're just racing to get another win and get more playoff points. And man, that's just some hard racing, race control, and also arguments being made and trying to plead. But it looks like Chris Wright going to be deemed with an EOL penalty for causing the incident. Chris Wright going to the end of the longest line.
So that didn't work out for neither of them. You see the 56 car there trying the best to repair what damage it is. But that's 2 more spots for some of these guys who need some good days. I mean, talking about Zach T. Evans, that 6 car, Rusty Capel, Scott Haney, all that playing out in their favor. And we still have 2 laps to go for somebody who is going to be deemed a winner. How about the 48 car? He's been blipping all day. He might just blip his way into victory lane. Hopefully, we'll be able to talk to him. We've seen crazier things, though. Crazier things have happened.
Oh, absolutely.
Also, we are, what do you call it? While we are under the yellow flag, I actually have the winner of a prize that we did on Twitter there. I totally forgot to say this, but since we have time, I want to give a shout out to Kim Ashcraft at 18 Rowdy Nation. She has won. To be honest, actually, I don't know what she has won. So, a free Response Energy hat and t-shirt. for answering our trivia question on Twitter, which was who are the only 2 NASCAR Cup Series drivers who have won in their second start? Which, Sam, do you know?
I do not.
One would be Jamie McMurray back in 2002. He was subbing in for an ailing Sterling Marlin after he crashed and hurt. I think he broke his sternum at Kansas that year. And then the other one would have been Trevor Bayne 10 years ago in the 2011 Daytona 500, the only win for that for Bayne in his career. So those are the only 2 drivers to ever win in their second start. That was the question. And Kim Ashcraft, you are going to be a winner of a Great Response Energy hat and t-shirt. So we will make sure we get that to you later on. Thank you guys. Definitely follow us on Twitter at Elite Racing for more great giveaways, and I will try to make sure that I have that stat ready at hand so that we get that done earlier in the race. But hey, we got it in.
We got it in. Well, it's a great time to put it in. It's now the most intense part of the race. We are in overtime, and the way it works is we go for 2 laps. It's a green, white, and we hope to get to a checkered. On this attempt, if we get to the white flag, we race it to the end. But if a yellow comes out on this first lap before we get the white flag, then we go into attempt number 2. We have 3, if needed, overtime attempts.
All right, so the front 3 have all been to victory lane here in 2021 Season B. Guys that are outside running 4th, 5th, 6th, and 7th have yet to visit victory lane, I believe actually ever, in elite racing competition. So we'll see what happens if they wad them up. Somebody's going to come out. Oh, Nick Massey gets the green flag. Can he hang on for 3 miles left at Atlanta?
This is going to be an interesting thing with Nick Massey's blinking issues. Race control could kick Nick Massey from the lead all the way to the back, which Johnny Thomas currently is up in second. But they are sliding and dashing, and watch out, here comes fresh tires back out that in 8th.
Johnny Thomas, the Daytona 500 reigning champion, looking to get around a car that is disappearing every couple of seconds. They are going to face the white flag this time by. So we are going to end the race on this lap. The leader has seen the white. Can the 48 hang on? Will he be assessed a penalty? And can the 91 get around him?
They're all debating where do they want to go, as Johnny Thomas just does not know where the 48 is going to be. But out of turn number 2, they're in line. Thomas needs to duck it down low or just hope that the 48 gets deemed with a penalty. But Nick Massey goes low.
Right now, the 91 car opens up the bottom for the 40. It's side by side. That's all the 48 car needs to see. He blipped his way into victory lane, but he'll be awarded the win in the NHPA 400. Nick Massey, the first repeat winner of the 2021 Elite Racing season.
Tyler Vody able to make the late pass there on Johnny Thomas, as well as Harrison Talon up the 4th. Michael Goodman with a top 5 finish for himself, but it's Nick Massey with his blinking issues still somehow able to get a win at the end of the day. And honestly, it could have been the fact that, race control kept on telling him, hey, you got to get out of the lane, you got to get out of the pack. That kept the 48 out of trouble and not too much damage. So he had the cleanest car to defend and get the win here as Scott Crump in the way.
He did have the cleanest car until that happened, but also I'm all for controversy. I like to stir the pot there sometimes. It might have been the cleanest car because it wasn't there half the night. So we'll see, but Nick Massey is going to be awarded his second win of 2021 Season B here for Elite Racing Network. How about some of these guys inside the top 10? Harrison Talon with his best finish of the night. They're running along in 4th. Michael Goodman, you had mentioned, in 5th. Zach T. Evans, he brings you the Truck Series coverage on Monday nights. Good to see him there with a strong finish tonight. Scott Haney doing a great job. Jacob Adams, he was involved in that last caution, and Rusty Capel, Matthew Weeks, who had that speeding penalty as well, rounding out your top 10. You feel for the 56 of Tate Lytle, but that's why it's never over until it is over, and we have 3 drivers who will have quite the story to tell us here as we get them in to our post-race celebration.
Yeah, getting those drivers set up, and man, what a race it was, as Alex, it's been a pleasure to be up in the booth. I got to go run to a different broadcast, but thanks for letting me be on board, and have a great rest of your night, everyone.
Thank you so much there, Sam. Appreciate you there bringing us all the action here tonight. All right, Nick Massey, you are the winner. You survived here in Atlanta. It doesn't come without some controversy, though. There were some major internet issues out of that 48 car. Walk us through getting you into victory lane here tonight and what that was like on the inside behind the steering wheel.
Yeah, it was pretty wild. I had a couple wrecks happen right in front of me, around me, had to dodge them, and then it was just so hard to pass. It just kind of seemed like it was a freight train around the top, but honestly don't know how I ended up in victory lane. I mean, that was wild. Things just kind of fell into my lap there, the last start. But yeah, definitely wild. Just trying to save the tires as much as you can, because that's pretty much the only advantage you can get on somebody. But it's just so hard to make that bottom work on a longer run. But man, it feels good to get back in victory lane. It's been a while, I think, since like race 2 of the season. So it feels good to finally get one back.
You are actually our first repeat winner of the season since Loudon, which is, yeah, as you mentioned there, I believe 2 months ago. So congratulations on that aspect. I do want to ask, though, did you have any idea that you were blimping hard? Because we did notice that quite severely at times, that 48 car of yours was disappearing quite a lot.
Yeah, I had my guys in Discord kind of tell me that, and on the top right I could see the quality bar going down a little bit. So I didn't think it was that bad at times, but if it got bad enough, I gave up some spots there. I was running like second. I fell back to like 8th place. I didn't want to be up racing there in a pack, lagging all over the place, and potentially wreck people. So yeah,
we did
something to keep an eye on.
We did notice that there, but yeah, you were able to get the victory lane there all suddenly after the issues with the 20 and the 56 car there. We are on now only one race away from the playoffs beginning. What do you think your chances are as you enter the season now with the most wins out of anyone?
That's pretty awesome. I didn't know that. I thought there was at least one other repeat winner, but that's pretty cool. Feel pretty good. I think we got some good tracks coming up in the playoffs. Just got to get there. But it's just so hard with these cars. Like, you never know what's going to happen week in and week out, how the things are going to drive, and what kind of race it's going to be. Like, tonight was a lot of fun. We had a lot of green flag runs and tire saving and stuff like that, and that's kind of more in my wheelhouse than the short stints like that at the end. But luckily it all worked out. But I'm looking forward to going into the playoffs.
All right, it worked out for you in a great way there, man. Congratulations there. I want to give you the chance to shout out to anyone you'd like there as the winner of tonight's race at Atlanta.
Yeah, shout out to my teammates, Chad. I know he got wrecked tonight, but me and Rucker there pitting towards the end. I thought it was going to work out. They ended up running us down and had to fight for it anyway. But and then pal Jeremy, who put this Shiba Inu token on the car. So it's been a fun year. Put him in victory lane twice. And shout out to you guys for putting on the broadcast. I know it was a long race tonight.
Well, but you made it definitely enjoyable there, and it was great to see you guys battling for the win there tonight. So Nick Massey, your winner here tonight, NHPA 400. Congratulations there, Nick. We will hopefully be talking to you very soon there as the playoffs begin.
Yeah, thanks, guys.
All right, second place there, Tyler Fody. This is a much anticipated interview there, as Fody is now joining us there. Fody, man, it's been a while after serving a 3-race suspension. Did you think we'd be talking to you just as quickly afterward?
Well, I had a pretty good feeling, not going to lie. I do like Atlanta a lot, but with how that race went, there's probably 7 different times where I thought we were done or just put in a bad place. But, man, I really wish either Massey blinked out there at the end or Johnny and him got side by side or something, but we were close. We got a lot of points tonight, so we'll see how the standings stack up here.
Yeah, you came down 42 points below, but you were definitely made up a bunch during the stages there. Walk us through your night. I know you mentioned you found yourself in some bad positions there. How about that last caution flag where you were suddenly turned? What happened there? It looked like your car just kind of lost a little bit of momentum, or did you just get hit from the 64 car?
It was a bit of both. That whole run, we were going 110%, trying to just get the track position. And the last couple laps leading up to that, I was burnt up and having to lift a little more and a little more every time on corner entry. And from what I can remember, I went into one there and I was trying to back up the entry a little bit. And I think I might have gone a little too much. And I mean, Rucker and the rest of the field are all tucked up right underneath each other. So he got me a little bit. No one's fault really, but thankfully was able to drive out of it. Unfortunately, I think it collected a couple guys back there, but bounced back from that and got a solid finish.
You mentioned that you thought that you were going to be competitive here at Atlanta, and you were finishing second here tonight. Were you surprised with this next-gen car and how it handled with the racing that we saw in this 1.5 mile track?
It was definitely different. At first, the first stage really was kind of shaky. We were all still trying to figure it out, but the last 2/3, to me, the racing was pretty cool. Everyone either trying to fight for the top or throwing big slide jobs, and the side drafting and the tandeming. It was all really cool. I had a little bit of nose damage though from the first stage when Tucker and I hit on the pits. I don't know if the broadcast caught that, but from there on I was kind of holding some front end damage the rest of the race really, which I think was holding me back a little bit, but we'll still take second.
We actually did notice that. We were wondering, we were like, we don't know if that car would be actually good out front, considering all the air I would expect to be up under it. It's probably better pushing than it was behind, but you were able to make the most out of it. That's what we saw with your win at Darlington as well. You have one more race to make up some good points. It's another 1.5 mile racetrack. What do you feel your odds are in making it into the playoffs after Kansas next week?
Well, conveniently enough, Kansas is another one of my favorite tracks. It'll be something different with this car, though, and it's really going to depend on where we sit in the points. I know we were 42 out. We were 8th in stage 1, 3rd in stage 2, and then got 2nd. So compared to all the bubble drivers, I'm hoping I made a decent bit up. If I'm 15 points or less, I think, on the bubble, we got a good shot. But yeah, we'll just have to see and do what we can when we get there.
All right, there. Well, podium finish tonight did not hurt your chances for next week, so we look forward to seeing what you can do at Kansas. What would you like to say out to your fans out there as we let you go?
Yeah, well, thanks to anyone that stuck around for the full distance Atlanta race. Thanks to you guys, too. I'm sure it was a fun broadcast. I'll have to watch it back. Shout out to Blue Egg Marketing and Days Gone By, of course, the sponsors. Shout out to the Lake Norman guys, Westergreen. It was just me and him tonight, but he hung in there all night pretty much. He had it kind of up and down, but he was up in the top 10, top 5 almost. So shout out to him. Yeah, we'll go out next week and try and get ourselves in the playoffs.
All right, always good talking to you there. Tyler Fody, second place tonight here at Atlanta. All right, last but certainly not least, our reigning Daytona 500 champion is going to be brought in. Johnny Thomas had a great day there, flashes of brilliance there, leading a couple of laps. It was a hectic race there. You could say that Daytona might have been a little bit easier than what we saw in Atlanta. Walk us through your day getting to third place.
What's happening, guys? Yeah, this was different style race. You guys saw it. But we were fast, man. We were bad fast. Led a lot of laps early on. I was really good late in a run. Early in the run, I was good. Middle of the run, I was bad. Right when the car started getting a little bit of that twitchy loose is when I slowed down. But then once everybody was fighting that, then I started picking up some speed. But it was just a different race. I'm sure all the guys that you talked to before me kind of explained it. You know, it's a one groove track. Restarts matter a whole lot. You got to get your ground on the restarts, but it's only for one lap. And after that lap, you got to get up top. And it's just a train all the way around here. I complain a lot about this 550 package, but I'm pretty good at it, so I shouldn't complain. We're bringing speed to the track, which was something that I wasn't doing last year. I was consistent last year getting top 10s, but now I feel like I can battle for a win. And we had one tonight, a chance. Nick was blinking, and I thought, well, maybe I'll just run through him and blame it on connection. but Nick is a really nice guy, and I've known him for a long, long time, and I couldn't do that. But good win for him, and we were strong tonight.
Yeah, as you mentioned, it was a different race here tonight, something that we just typically don't see at Atlanta. What do you think you could take away from tonight and apply to next week's race at Kansas, and then perhaps for the rest of the season as we get the playoffs underway after Kansas?
Yeah, for Kansas, it's I've been hearing that the bottom works for a certain amount of time, and then the top just clicks. So you want to be the first guy up top when it clicks and gain the positions. But these guys are so good that everybody's pretty much going to venture up to the top when it's fast. Just track position, man. It's all about track position. I don't think I was the fastest car at times, but I was leading and I was saving my tires, leading the race. It's just king. If you get up front, if you can get the lead, you're king. Matthew had a lot of damage, and I was riding behind him, and I couldn't pass him. But I knew if I got in front of him, I could have gapped him by at least 2-3 tenths of a second. But that's just how it goes, and we'll move on to Kansas. I'm excited about the chase. I feel like I got a shot at the championship, which is something that I would never have said before. And we're rolling. Belly Up Sports. This new team is rolling right now. Trying to get Brandon in the chase.
Well, you have one more week until we see exactly what this team is up and against there. I want to give another congratulations to you for finishing third. I want to give you a chance to shout out to anybody out there that's still watching here tonight.
Yeah, I take these crown jewel races pretty serious, and winning the 500 is awesome. I wanted to win another one. Well, that would be really cool. Put on my resume. But just want to thank Belly of Sports, Mike Brown, all the guys, Brantley Roden for painting his card, Harpoon Designs. Give him a quick shout out. He does awesome work. And just all my teammates. Josh helps me out a lot, and Brandon is fighting for that championship battle in the chase. So just thank you guys and broadcasting and Elite for putting on the show.
All right. Always good talking to you there, Johnny. Johnny Thomas with a third place podium finish here tonight. You did not hear him, but I want to give a shout out to Rishav. He is still out producing there, ailing that voice of his. We missed you there, buddy. And unfortunately, I want to give my own a personal shout out. I will not be here next week, unfortunately. I am going back to Colorado to surprise my mom for her 50th birthday, so I will not be able to bring you the action, but I will return once the playoffs do begin. But tonight was an amazing night, as always. It's something that I as a broadcaster, love to see. You love to analyze. You love to see good, tight racing. And what we saw in Atlanta was exactly that. It kept you on the edge of your seat there. It's never over till it's over. It was never defined. Feel for Tate Lytle. He definitely had the most dominant car of the night there. Unfortunately, got involved in that second to last caution, I believe. But that allowed and opened the door for what we saw a very, very crazy top 10. And some of these guys having some career days here tonight. You love to see it, as I like to say from my commentator. So I want to give a shout out there to Blue Egg, as well as C2 Freight for everything that they do. I want to give a shout out to Chad. Thank you so much for allowing me to be a part of this there as well. Well, I'm also losing my voice talking, so I don't want to keep you guys. I know for everybody that's still out there in YouTube land, I want to thank you guys that are out there for allowing us to do this, because that really drives what we're able to do and still able to show you guys. Also want to give a shout out to our race sponsor, the National Horseshoe Pitchers Association as well. They were the title sponsor and title holder for tonight's race 400. And another congratulations to Nick Bassey, that 48 car. Be sure to join us next week on YouTube. It'll begin at 8:30 for Kansas. That'll be the final race before we begin the playoffs here for the Elite Racing Network. But from all of us at Atlanta there, for myself, I want to give another thank you to Sam, who was able to fill in, and Rishav, who is still producing. And I hope you had a great night, and we will see you next week.